1, and we should be live. Morphologist, how's it going today, man? Long time no
It's
see.
going good. Yes, long time no see. Last time we really saw one another was at SitCon, and then there was a short little hello, I think, in my chat just recently. So
Isn't sitcon a crazy thing to think about now? Like, considering where we're at, how's everything where you are? You're in Taiwan, right?
yes, actually, things have gone very well here. Getting a little bit into the details, we haven't had a shutdown at all. Only 430 recorded cases with 7 deaths total since the beginning of this whole thing. So they've done a pretty good job of keeping things under control. And I've been going to work regularly, which has kept me really busy, unfortunately. So
So it was just regular work for you then. Like, do you work in an office? Like,
yeah, work in an office,
just
go to commute to work. Yeah.
so your life didn't change at all from COVID.
Not really, no.
That's
Just have to
cool.
wear a mask in the subway. Yep.
Think
I
about
was
this.
quarantined for 14 days when I came back from the US like a few months ago, but that was it.
Okay, so you came back to the U.S. for a bit then.
Yep.
Did you hear about this like weird conspiracy, like about China and Taiwan, the involvement of China and Taiwan through the
Oh yeah.
WHO? Is
Oh,
that
it's not a
real? Or
conspiracy. It's
it's
not a
not.
conspiracy. It's real.
It's real.
The WHO. There's this whole political situation with Taiwan and China where, not to go into too much detail, I don't want to bore too many of your viewers with this, but there was a civil war in China. You guys remember Mao? Mao was the leader of the Communist Party, backed by Russia. They pushed out the former government of China, which was the ROC, Republic of China, and in their bloodiest civil war, one of the bloodiest civil wars actually in human history, killed millions of Chinese lives. And they were pushed out eventually back to Taiwan. And since then, they've basically been kind of like North and South Korea, and in a in a ceasefire. Not really. The war just kind of ended at that point with ROC always saying, we're going to come back and take the mainland and take China back, and Mao saying, no, we own everything now. That balance kind of stayed until China kind of rose up in the 80s as an economic powerhouse of the world, and now China says they own Taiwan, and Taiwan just doesn't care anymore. They say, all right, we just want to be our own thing. We just want to be us. We want to be Taiwan. But China's obviously really upset with that, so they're pushing buttons everywhere they can economically, throwing their weight around with other countries to try to stop them from trading with Taiwan, so that they pressure Taiwan into giving up their freedom. Which, if you saw what happened in Hong Kong actually just yesterday, would be a really bad idea. They actually went back on their 50-year deal with the UK to allow them to be autonomous and decide, nope, you're part of China. No more talking about political thing
Wow.
anyway, or you disappear. So it's pretty bad, and Taiwanese don't want that. And
So
I
why
support
why
them.
why are you involved in this?
Involved. I love Taiwan. I mean, Taiwan is a democratic, democratic socialist country with really good programs here. Good like I've got free healthcare and stuff, which is really really nice. But the other thing is, obviously you can see that they know how to manage a pandemic pretty well.
I agree.
But it's a in other in, but otherwise it's a capitalist economy, and I'm working at a international firm here based out of Barcelona as well as Taiwan, and they offered me a really great opportunity to come here and design a big building, and since then I've just been working on projects for them, so I've been really enjoying that. It's
I've
really
been
thoroughly enjoying.
I've been enjoying I've been making Thai food a lot over the past few weeks. So, well, not Thai food. I've been making pad Thai. Like, I'm trying to find a really traditional. This is like my pandemic story, I guess. Like, we all go introverted and we make like bread, or that's what everyone's doing. So my version of that is like making pad Thai. Have you made pad Thai before?
I've not, but I don't want to make you feel too bad, but that's actually Thailand. I'm in
Oh
Taiwan,
my
which is
god.
different. It's all right. People get that confused all the time. Just want to let you know right now that yeah, Thailand is completely different. Taiwan is a small island off the coast of China.
Anyways,
It's all good. Hey man, lots of people made that mistake. I just wanted to catch you just at the start here, so you go too far into
man, I
that.
feel so bad because like I actually lived with a dude from Taiwan when I lived in Toronto like 10 years ago. So like I don't know. Whoops a daisy. All right. Well,
It's
that's
all good.
cool. So what tell me more about this building that you're kind of designing right now.
Oh, sure. Well, that project actually you've already done with. We finished it, gave the client the proposal, had to work with a local architect, as we usually do with all of our projects, because we're not Taiwanese. We're mainly a Spanish firm, so we have to rely on local architects with a local license to get our prints stamped. And unfortunately, what happened with that is they kind of backstabbed us. They took our design after we signed a contract and everything, and convinced the client behind her back to uh, cut us out and make up some excuse. And basically, what they said is, "Oh, we're not going to build it." And well, actually, what they did is they ended up building it, and they didn't tell us that they were going to do it anyway. And they changed the design slightly, so they still took our design and decided to build it, and it looks horrible, which is unfortunate. So there's a big disagreement with the local architect and us. He had his own idea. So the whole story behind it is he actually approached us, said, "Hey, we've got this big project. This client of mine has been unhappy with any of the proposals that we've given. We've had 7 proposals so far from different companies. Could you come in and redesign the facade with us and give us a better look to the building?" And we said yes, but we changed a little bit more than the facade. We had to change the floor plan a little bit because the floor plan didn't allow for the type of clean facade that we thought the client might like. And so we presented a cleaner floor plan with a brand new, very interesting facade, and the client absolutely fell in love with it. And I think that kind of made the local architect angry because nothing he did seemed to please that client, but we came in the first try and made him very happy. And so I think there was some jealousy and ego involved in this. Just as a background, this guy who did this to us, he actually had voted one of the worst buildings built in Taipei. So he's definitely not a good guy. Anyway, we've got a number of other projects going on now that are as big or bigger than that. So, water under the bridge, I don't care anymore about it. I mean, I still care. It hurts to know that they stole our design. And that was my baby. I designed a lot of that facade with my team, and it sucks, man. It
That's
sucks, but
crazy how they
that's
stole your
some.
design. How did they even do that?
Well, I mean, technically, we're still on the list. They can't legally not put us as part of the design team on the project, but we're now no longer involved in the detail work. And obviously, we had no say over how they changed it. So even though our name's going to be on it, we might not want our name to be on it because the way they changed it, it now looks so bad. It was a beautiful white tower that they changed in this short, squat, stupid looking thing that still has remnants of our design, but completely missed the point on why we designed it the way we did. Anyway, so that's how that turned out. I've got some other really cool projects.
Yeah, you got
They're actually up.
4 other jobs.
Yeah, I've got 4 jobs. So I've got the local firm that I work with here. I've got the firm I work with in the United States, which is also a construction firm that I own. Then I have my Twitch channel and I have my YouTube channel, and they really are different because Twitch requires a different set of setup and
So true.
different mindset. It's hard in its own way. It certainly
It totally
isn't.
is.
It isn't like the time that you put in is the time that you. Generally speaking, a lot of the time is just the streaming part, right? There is some prep, maybe an hour of prep. Maybe sometimes you want to spice things up, so you spend a few hours updating your setup, your Streamlabs setup or whatever. But YouTube, on the other hand, is all prep, and it is the most time consuming of the two. So they're very different. They definitely take a different kind of skill. I've found as Twitch definitely requires a lot of stamina
That's
to to
true.
to remain positive and watchable and entertaining. You always want to be entertaining, and it's hard not to look at those views like, crap, what did I just do something wrong? Why is everyone like disappearing? So yeah. Anyway, I may have started answering questions you didn't ask, so
No, man.
please continue.
Honestly, this is just a chat. Like, yeah, I have
Mhm.
questions, but just because I'm a curious guy. But
Yeah. So
I find it interesting what you're talking about between the Twitch and YouTube worlds, because like this show is kind of like my entry into YouTube, I guess. Like it's me doing stuff on YouTube because I've always just been in Twitch before. And
mhm.
it is a totally different beast because like I'm just so used to doing stuff on Twitch. I just kind of keep doing that. But definitely got me more thoughtful for it. It's like maybe Twitch is like for the young and then YouTube is for the old.
Well, According to statistics, I think it generally varies pretty wildly between the type of content that you make. There's a certain type of content that will appeal to the 14 to 18 and 18 to 24 segment that my content doesn't really appeal to. And Star Citizen, you kind of set yourself up with something, I'm sorry to say, that doesn't appeal to a wider audience. We're very much of a niche market. So the general audience age is a bit older and thus far fewer in number than the younger segment of the 18 to 24 or younger. I'm not really interested too much in the 13 to 18 segment though, because it comes with its own issues with advertising and for kids stuff. I'm but the 18 to 24 is pretty big. But yeah, it's about Star Citizen. It's about the way you present yourself in your content, and it's tough. It's tough. We could go into a lot of details with this stuff. I've been doing YouTube for a lot longer than I've been doing Twitch, and I
Mm.
like to think I've got a fair amount of experience doing it. In that, the place that I'm at right now is not due to luck, but to just banging my head against a wall and going at it every other day or every day for hours on end to try to make quality videos that people want to watch. But yeah, I think for what I've seen, recently with Twitch streamers and YouTube, none of them seem to any longer be able to support the average to somewhat successful streamer as a job. So most people have to split their time between the two to try to grow themselves and be successful and to make enough income to support a comfortable life, which is difficult these days.
I often wonder how Rex is doing since he went to Facebook. I'd love to see his numbers, what his
Um,
audience is like.
well, I did sit down with Rex actually at SitCon. We went to a bar with WTFsaurus and the few guys, and it was really fun actually. Nerd Show and Tell was there as well. There was a few guys there, and a few members of the community showed up. It was fun. It was really fun. Okay, we're getting off track here, but the thing with Rex is that yeah, he didn't tell me the details exactly how much money he got from signing a deal with Facebook, but it's certainly enough to not let him worry about the number so much anymore. But yeah, certainly he took a big hit in viewership and reach, which I'm sure he's not entirely happy with. But when you look at it as a job, having that financial security, especially right now, for most Americans, it's definitely probably one of the most important things to have. So
Yes.
I definitely don't hold it against him for what he did. And he's a really nice guy. I
Mm.
sit down with him. He is really intense on stream, but in person, he's really cool to hang out with. Really down to earth. So yeah, I totally like it. I mean, I totally like him and what he does.
I didn't know he went to Call of Duty Warzone. That's interesting. Wonder if that's where he came from.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not surprised that he switched to Call of Duty Warzone. Star Citizen is such a niche market that trying to reach people on a platform like Facebook is just going to be even harder. Like Facebook has such a small share of the market that yeah, I don't think if growth is your goal, Star Citizen is not a place to go on such a small platform. Now, I don't think that's the case on Twitch, and the reason why I think that is because I think Star Citizen is small right now. So if you're starting off and you go off in a big game, you're not going to get any views because there's just too many people playing the game. But if you start off in a smaller community like Star Citizen, and you start growing there, more people will see you because the list is only like 20 people, right? So yeah, different platforms, different strategies.
I do wonder though about his numbers. That's why I mentioned because I wonder how big the audience is on Facebook. Like Facebook's a huge system and lots of people still use it, and maybe that's where the Star Citizen people are. Because Twitch is pretty small.
Yeah, yeah.
I like Twitch though because it's an Amazon company. As bad of a company Amazon may be, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I took a look at his stream once before, just popped in to see what he was up to when he was streaming some Star Citizen. I think he had like 50 viewers or something. He usually had 1,000 when he was
Yeah.
on Twitch.
Wow.
So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
people didn't want to switch over to Facebook.
He lose, so
It's
he lost all of his fan base then.
He did, yeah. He lost pretty much all his fan base. But it was important to Facebook because they wanted to move that fan base over to Facebook, and to some extent it worked, but at a very small level. I don't think that Facebook anticipated how hard it would be to move people over to their platform. But it's, hey man, it's on them. They need to provide better tools. They need to have something different. They can't just try to do what Twitch does and expect to compete with Twitch. You need to have some special unique thing that there's nothing that nobody else has. Like, one of the things that they could be doing, which I don't think that they are, is to somehow help promote people for free in a better way, by sticking their stream on people's feeds, which I think actually I take that back. I think they may have started doing, because I've started seeing people's feeds show up on my Facebook that I've never followed before, who are streaming on Facebook, which I think is good. That actually is better than Twitch, but I'm not sure exactly how that works and how frequently that happens.
How
So,
long have you been streaming on Twitch for?
uh, well, technically, for probably, well, according to my Twitch stuff, 19 months. But I've only really seriously been streaming on a regular schedule for about 3 months.
What is your schedule right now?
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays all at the same time. That would be 8 a.m. Oh, sorry, 9 a.m. Eastern time for those of you guys in the United States.
You have like that. I couldn't imagine having a stream schedule like that. I mean, that's why I do or try and do Monday to Friday, because it's just like, okay, I just do these 4 days and I'm good. But like, how do you fit it in your schedule? Do you keep like a calendar of like, okay, now I have to, because you have 4 jobs, or well, you have, well, 2 other jobs, I suppose, maybe 3.
But yeah, no, it really does feel like it is 4 jobs. I mean, because the prep work, like I said, for YouTube is so different. I need to go and I can't. I've tried already several times to collect footage on stream that I use for my YouTube video, and I've still done it to some extent. But ultimately, I always need to get pickup footage. I always need specific things that I'm not focused on enough in on stream. Like, I won't be thinking and planning like I usually do when I record stuff. I need to think out and plan my footage and the organization of my script, and then get the footage for it. I can't do that while I'm also talking to chat and trying to focus on entertaining chat to provide a really entertaining stream. So, um how do I fit it in, man? It's been a struggle, to be honest. Ever since I started this new schedule, it's been tougher and tougher. But my job in the US until just this past week has been dead, because there's just nobody looking to do anything right now because of the virus. So I've been pretty fortunate to be able to focus then on my architecture work here, as well as my YouTube and Twitch. Um, but honestly, man, my YouTube has suffered. I've not posted a video now in over a week, which is bad for algorithms, and I'm really trying to get one done, but I've had to do so much work with my US job, which is good. I mean, because it helps that business survive, but at the same time, I'm suffering on something that I make more money on now than I do with my my other job. That's funny. Like, I make more money now doing Twitch and YouTube than I do with the others, and it doesn't make any sense
That's
anymore.
good.
And I still love doing those more. Strangely enough, I love architecture, and they have better long term security in some ways. So, you know, it's really tough, dude. I can't tell you how I do it. I'm barely holding it together. I wake up at 9 a.m. Sorry, I wake up at 7:50 a.m. every morning, go to work, and then I usually go to bed around 12 o'clock at night every single day. And every single hour of that day is working on something. If it's not in the studio, in my office, it's at home working on stuff for the United States, and then it's working on YouTube, and then at night I stream until I go to bed, and that's my day. And is insane. And I usually set at least 1 or 2 days, if I can, a week aside in the evening to spend with my girlfriend, so I can maintain my personal life as well, because that is not a job, but something that I need for my so I don't go crazy.
I was gonna say I love your YouTube videos. I'm such a big fan. Um, which I verbally shared to you at CitizenCon.
Hmm.
My favorite one is the 600i because the 600i for me was the icebreaker for Morphologis. In my opinion, I think that that one went viral, and
Hmm.
uh, and also like I had opinions about the 600i, and I couldn't really like explain what those opinions were, but you converted that into like English, and I appreciate that so much because I feel like the that feedback wouldn't be received otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
And does CIG ever talk to you about that at all, or are you involved with that?
Yes. Yes, actually. I have been approached by a few people from CIG now since then, and not specifically on that video, but on other things. Like at SitCon, I was telling you before we started streaming, but I'll repeat now for chat. I was approached by Nick and Eddie. Those guys are on the big guys, the big planners and movers on the landing zone environment team, and they actually came up to me at SitCon and said, "Would you like to talk with us about, you know, what we do?" And I was like, "Heck yeah!" And they said, "Would it be all right if we got some more people on the team to join us? They'd love to meet you." And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Come on, let's sit down. Let's have a cool chat." So we ended up only being able to fit 3 other people on screen. We could have had more. There were other people from CIG on the environment arc team standing nearby, and we had this very informal conversation about the design of locations in Star Citizen, which was really cool. The other one that I did though that was planned and once was set up ahead of time with their PR guy was with John Crew. You know, John Crew is the head of the vehicle pipeline at CIG. He's the guy that everybody knows and is always appearing on ISC talking about ships. In fact, he was just on the last live stream talking about all ship questions. And I had him for about 30 minutes, which was really cool to pick his brain for a bit. And there was another gentleman who was there as well who works on the concept art. So and that, I mean, that was such a cool experience to, you know, sit down and chat with those guys in person, and it was so weird to know that they knew who I was, um because I like, it wasn't real to me at that time yet.
So
But yeah, yeah.
how did the architect videos really start out? Like
uh
what came to mind? What was the thought process behind that?
Well, the 600i really bothered me a lot, actually. The when they rolled out with it, and I took a tour of the inside, I was really disappointed by its design, and I saw that a lot of people were trying to articulate certain parts of the ship and didn't really know why they didn't like it. So I thought, well, I work as an architect in the real world. I can articulate probably pretty well what exactly the spatial experience is and why it's falling short in people's estimation, and try to put that into words. And so I decided to start a series, just see if it worked out. Had no plan to do more, called an Architect Reviews. But yeah, as you said, it people's interest in it was just incredible, and I was blown away by the reception. I mean, it had like 300,000 views within a month or something ridiculous like that.
And I didn't even know like how I didn't even know there's that many people in Star Citizen. You know, like we
Well,
always
well,
question how many people.
well people the cool thing about that series is it doesn't just appeal to people with a niche market who play Star Citizen. It actually appeals to an audience that may know what Star Citizen is and know about the crazy amount of detail that goes into Star Citizen ships, but are not interested in following the project yet. So, like, more of a general population of people uh, that that were drawn in by it because it was an approachable, understandable subject, seen in the light of spatial experiences that people have in their real world. And also, ships are cool. I mean, everybody loves a yacht. Everybody loves a car video. Like, why do people watch Doug DeMuro? Because they want to see him talk about cars, and cars are an easily understandable little thing, right? And I'm kind of doing that with spaceships, and so it appeals to a big audience. Mostly, it depends on how I make the thumbnail and how I title it. But for something like the 300i, or sorry, 600i, which is actually in the image looks so real. It's something that people can relate to. Anyway, that's my take on why that got so many views and such good reception, because a lot of those people who watch that video don't play. and don't own Star Citizen. And they make their comments actually. If you look down in the comment list, you'll see people talking about it. So yeah, I don't play Star Citizen. I'm not interested in it, but I love watching these videos. These are so cool. Please make more. Just so cool to see in a feed of a comment section.
Are they? Is that your biggest video series? Would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely my biggest video series, and actually it's kind of become a bread and butter sort of video because they're evergreen. It doesn't matter when I made the video; it'll always get views because they're always relevant. The information I'm talking about is not how to fly your ship today in 3.9, which a lot of people make videos on, and those don't last past a patch because after that people know they're outdated. But when you're just talking about design, you're talking about interior and spatial experiences and using as a medium to talk about architecture, that's always interesting to people. That's always going to be useful because that doesn't the subject is the description, not necessarily the ship.
That's true. And like I would say from my perspective as a fan that I'm almost more anticipating your video than the ship itself. Like, oh, I can't wait for the Kraken to come out so I get a Morphologis review of it. It's like a Linus kind of product review almost, unboxing.
Yeah, a lot of people want to see stuff like the Starfarer.
Yeah, I would.
I love to do the Starfarer. The thing with it is though that of all the series that I do requires the absolute most amount of input over any other video I do. And certainly if I'm looking at if I'm looking at YouTube as a business, which I really do now, as opposed to when I started. Like when I made that video, YouTube was a hobby more for me. It wasn't a business. It wasn't a part-time job. Now it is, and I need to look at each video I do as a balance of how much time do I put into it versus how much do I get out of it. And sadly, the truth is with YouTube is that I honestly don't make enough money to cover the amount of time I put into it. So that really sucks. And so I need to wait until there's no other stuff to talk about in Star Citizen in between patches to do an architect reviews to make it make sense, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because nobody cares about 3.9 2.5 months into the patch. They're going to be moving on to other videos. So that's when the architect reviews needs to drop, when people have waning interest in the project and I'm out of stuff to talk about for the patch.
I love hanging out with you guys because everyone seems to have their own strategy for developing content. Like Eradicator comes into my stream once in a while and tells me like, why he does the things he does. Just fascinating. Like that's why we have such like a spectrum of variety, I suppose, in our content generation in Star Citizen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody's got a little bit of different of a strategy, and that's fine. It gives us a bit of a character to our channels and gives people reasons to view each. Because if we were all producing the same content, everybody would just watch Board Gamer, and that wouldn't be great for everybody else who wanted to grow, right? So it's good that everybody's doing something a little bit different. Everybody does their own thing, and that's how it should be. The people who aren't, well, you don't know about them because they won't grow, unfortunately.
What was your life like before Star Citizen?
Better. I'm just kidding. More financially sound, maybe. No, I'm kidding. Before Star Citizen, it was pretty good actually. I started growing on YouTube far before then. I just exploded in viewership and subscribers. Not on the level I have with Star Citizen. Star Citizen has been another level. But I made it to around 45,000, near 50,000 on Space Engineers content alone within about a year and a half to 2 years. Working with two great guys, Wasted Space and Captain Shack, I did a scripted series which had, up until my Star Citizen's most recent content with the architect reviews, the most views on my channel. I mean, the first one of that series had 250,000 views. A lot of my tutorial videos are still sitting at 250,000 views with those, and yeah, and there's people still watch them. I still get comments on them. So before Star Citizen was really good. In fact, I miss Space Engineers quite a lot. I just don't have a lot of time to go back to it, and I want to go back to it. In the scripted series, everybody wants me to go back to that, but oh my god, as a business, it didn't work. Both my friends who are full-time YouTubers who did the series with me, they rely on that income from YouTube and Patreon to keep, to pay their rent, to feed their kids. Well, neither of them have kids, but I'm sure Shaq hasn't told me this, but I'm sure he's thinking about it with his wife, and Waste of Space definitely has to pay his rent and stuff. So for them, we'd have to spend a week on an episode, literally a week, every single day, recording, going over scripts, re-recording, preparing, editing, making sure that each episode that we did on our respective channels, because it was 3 points of view, was different enough that it allowed people to, or encourage people to watch each of them. Because if they were too identical, then one of them would suffer in views, and we wanted to make sure that everybody benefited mutually from this experience. And it really was difficult to coordinate and stuff. And so they had to give up all of their other videos that they were doing. They didn't have time to do it. So unfortunately, when I moved to Taiwan and we had to put it on pause, we just never came back to it because they had to temporarily move on to other things. And they discovered, well, hey, I make the same amount of money doing a video that I spent a day on, that I spent an entire week on. As a business, this doesn't make any sense anymore. And as much as they loved that series, and as much as I love that series, and we always talk about wanting to go back to that series with a fervent love, it's a passion project for us. Like, we love it so much. You guys have to understand how much we love that project. It just doesn't make any financial sense anymore, unless somebody came in and said, here, we're going to pay you for a whole season, like several $1,000s each. It's not going to happen.
It's interesting.
And that's that. And that would be my advice to anybody thinking about doing a machinima for like
Is there
a job.
money in that?
There's no money in it.
There's no money in it.
There's no money.
It takes way too much time.
It's something that you might want to do once for a few episodes. Maybe but you can't use it as a way to grow your channel in the long term. Very few people are able to pull off what Red vs. Blue did. You need to grow to that level. I'm talking millions of subs to make it make any sense, because to be able to keep up with demand of producing a high quality machinima that, what Red vs. Blue did, they had a whole team working on it. Initially, it was a group of friends, several guys working to edit those episodes, and they weren't easy to do. I know from personal experience they were really hard, and every season they stepped up the volume, the quality and the script writing and everything, and they had more and more guys. And because they had so much reception with what they were doing, they were able to hire editors, and they were able to start their own YouTube channel, and now it's become a franchise essentially. Like Red vs. Blue is now Rooster Teeth, if you guys don't know, now has become its own business, and they can support it. But that's like the only way to do a machinima. I would say if you want to try it, do it once, but don't spend too much time on it. Like, do a few episodes, that's it, because you're just going to kill yourself with the amount of time and effort you have to put into it to keep up with it. There was a really cool one that was done a little while ago in the community. I'm not sure if you saw it. It was The Man with No Name. There was a guy who did a video posted on Reddit.
No, I don't
really,
think I saw
really
that
well
one.
edited. Yeah. You guys haven't seen it. It's really amazing, really well done, top notch. Shows off what you could do in Star Citizen with a machinima. But if you notice, he hasn't posted any other episodes. Why? Because he found out what I already know. And it's just too damn hard. And if you've got a job and you need to make money, especially in times like these, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, like JR and John from JR was saying last week, was that the Star Citizen population is still too small, right? I'm sure like if once we get up to like Fortnite numbers, then it might be easier to do these types of series, or more lucrative, or no.
I agree. I think that could be the case. Star Citizen, the reason why it worked for Red vs. Blue was because that was a game that had huge growth potential. Halo blew up in a way that I don't think Microsoft ever expected it to. And so Red vs. Blue's growth was parallel to it, right? Because everybody was playing Halo. It's become part of the science fiction, what's it called? Like the like everybody knows what it is. There's a specific word for that escapes me just now. Part of the pantheon, right? Everybody knows what it is, and that is hard to do. There's very few games that reach that level of success. And Star Citizen is definitely nowhere near that level of success yet. It's definitely notorious, like people know it,
For better
for
or for worse.
for better or for worse. But it's not like to the point where like everybody plays it. I think it'll get to that point. I really do. That's why I've stuck around, and because I personally believe, like I love it. Exactly, Lemian. It's definitely a scam game.
Scam citizen.
Lemian's from my community. He's just yeah. I mean, it. I think it'll get there. I really do, and I agree that if it does get there, I don't think it'll reach. It will never reach Halo levels, but I think that's just because the world has changed. But it will, I think, still reach great heights as compared to its competitors and greater longevity than any of the AAA titles we see coming out today, which are just basically one and done. Develop it quick, get it done in a year, throw it away, do the next project. I mean, they're not even trying anymore, to be honest, with AAA studios.
You don't
So
need to. I mean, as far as the Call of
yeah, they don't need
Duties
to.
go, they just whip out another. It's like the sports games, the soccer games, and stuff like that. They
Yeah,
just
they're
pump
living
out the
off their
same thing.
accolades. They're
Hmm.
living off their accolades nowadays, and that's unfortunate. You know, the I really hope that Star Citizen shows. Like, I don't understand why people are so ready to call Star Citizen a scam. Like the easily hate click thing that people fall into is so frustrating because it's so counter to their own interests as a gamer, to have Star Citizen fail. It's the nerd dream project for anybody who wants a good video game. It's created by gamers for gamers, with funded by gamers to achieve the most lofty goals you could possibly ever imagine, and there's no corporate overlords in suits making decisions based on how can we make more money off of loot boxes. If it fails, I mean, what do we have for what do we have to look forward to? It proves that model of creativity driving a project over profit doesn't work, and it means that people are going to say, all right, well, because that didn't work, well, clearly the greed driven model, that EA has got down to a T, that's the model we want to go with, and we're just going to have shittier and shittier games. And yeah, there'll be great projects on the side with really tiny budgets, but they'll never ever be big enough to become something like Halo. They'll never be as big as Star Citizen even is now, which is so depressing.
I mean, never say never. Anything could happen in the future. I mean, they're aiming to be the Oasis, right? That might be
Mm-hmm.
relevant. I don't know that
Anyway,
they'll achieve that or not.
I'm not sure. I think that'd be really cool if they do. I would love that sort of, minus the dystopian part of it. There's a very dark economic undertone to that world that I don't
I don't
much
think
care
that's
for.
necessary. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary either, but seems like we're going that direction.
I know, it's so true.
It really does. God, icky.
I mean, whatever. I think that what we're doing right now is pretty exciting. Like, I love the YouTube and Twitch content generation. You know, if you could have done, like, if you could have went back and looking back now, what would you have done differently, or what would you have changed? I mean, because I would say you're a viral celebrity within Star Citizen, so you're kind of on top of a mountain. Probably not on the top, but or maybe there's many mountains.
Oh, you just have to look to the side of that mountain and you'll notice Mount Everest, and we're just on this little
Exactly.
mound, and we
Yes.
thought it was this big thing, right? Yeah, the reality of Star Citizen, I really appreciate it. I'm not trying to say that that I'm not, because a lot of people care about this in the community, and I love this community. So I'm not like saying that I don't appreciate all the following I have and the amount of viewership I get, but the reality of it is that we're nowhere near what we need to be in terms of like of success for a community. Like if I'm the biggest in Star Citizen's community aside from Board Gamer, that's not good for Star Citizen because I've only got 127,000 subscribers, and that seems like a lot. But you look at any other big AAA title with people who cover it, like say Level Cap, he's got 1 million subs and he covers Battlefront, right? If we're trying to be a AAA game with Star Citizen, we got some ways to go for stability, playability, appeal to a wider audience that we're not capturing yet. And there's a ton of reasons why that's not the case, and I understand that we're just not there yet. But I'm just saying, um, yeah. So, but you asked me what I would do different. What do you
Yeah.
could you elaborate with that? What you meant by that question?
Well, I mean, like if you think back on your architect video series, like looking back now, after you've done a handful of episodes, or maybe just your whole YouTube career, what would you have done differently?
Had I gone back and said, "Don't do it." No, I'm just kidding. I actually I really love YouTube so much. I mean, it's definitely something that I've decided I don't want to ever give up on. Because if I could give up on it, I could go full architecture, and I'd be fine. But I love the community that I've developed. The group of guys that regularly show up, like here in chat, Limian, Coloran, got a few others that I'm sure I'm missing here that have shown up in chat. Scroll, but you guys watching on YouTube won't see this, but they're awesome community members that kind of just make it worth it. Mad King was here as well. Yeah. So honestly, I wouldn't change anything, to be honest. I can't think of anything that I could have done differently. I'd be scared to go back, honestly, because what if I didn't hit that 600i video when I had to? Like there was there's obviously some special X factor when you're making a video that that plays a huge role in its success. You can have all the trappings of a successful streamer, a successful YouTuber, have great, well-produced content, produced on time, consistently, and still never grow because there's something else to it. It's like there's this perfect moment or hour in the day. It's shared like by somebody, like maybe somebody shares it, somebody else other than yourself. So it's not self-promotion, and more people click on it on Reddit, and suddenly it just explodes. It drives up that initial algorithm view count, which tells Google that, hey, people are interested in this video, and then it suggests it to more people, and then it just snowballs and it snowballs and it snowballs, and it's really hard to continually replicate that success. So yeah, I wouldn't go back to change anything, because I'd be afraid, even with what I know now, to be able to achieve that level of success again.
True, yeah. Amazing. Well, I'm very inspired by your content and your level of energy. So, pat yourself on the back. 127,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'll tell you, you do stand on top of a mountain. 6,911 referrals and Star Citizen. That is a mountain. Yeah.
Oh, actually, it's actually up to 7,160 right now.
Holy crap, that's climbing so quickly. How do you? Come on, you gotta give me a scoop on that.
Actually, it's not too much of a secret. A lot of people think that it's because of all my videos. It's actually because of one video that I did. It's called The Definitive New Player Guide to Star Citizen. You've probably seen it. It's the most viewed Star Citizen starter guide on YouTube. The most viewed of anybody, including the biggest YouTubers who've ever covered Star Citizen.
Wow.
And that I put my referral code in that video. And that's how it happened.
So that's a good future for you, maybe, is doing tutorials.
Yeah, I would actually. That's what and I'm not trying to not be humble. I'm just trying to tell you. You asked the question,
Absolutely.
so I just want to be clear exactly why that is, because people are curious about why I have so many. That's why I've stopped using my referral code in videos. I've actually started using my own community members at random, kind of like the randomizer, but my own guys, to kind of say thank you to them. And that, like, for the past few months, that's all I've done, and I still keep getting more because that video just keeps getting views and keeps getting views. It's crazy, man. It won't stop, and there's no point to getting any more than I have right now because they're not giving us anything beyond this. I mean, after I passed 5,000, for some reason I thought, oh, come on, they have to email me or something and say congratulations. There's got to be some secret level that they've not revealed where they say thank you. But literally, there's been no difference. It's almost like CAG hasn't even noticed. So no, there's no point to it. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
You heard it here first, folks. If you guys want to get into content generation, this could be the secret sauce behind it.
Yeah, make a tutorial video. That's what I tell everybody who asks, actually. if you're starting with a YouTube channel, it doesn't work so well for Twitch. But if you're starting with a YouTube channel and you want to grow, the first question you need to ask yourself is why should people watch me? What value can I offer? Because it's always about value to the viewer. And the second component to that is how can I infuse my own personality into it? Because your channel, a successful channel, shouldn't be only about the thing you teach or make a tutorial upon. It should always include something with yourself to get the audience attached to you as a person if you ever want to grow. Because just tutorial videos on their own with no personality don't in themselves promote growth. They will promote views, but not growth. In other words, people won't visit again your YouTube channel if there's not some unique personal element to the videos that you produce. I could teach a freaking class on this.
No,
Man.
that's
There's
exactly what
so
I was
much
thinking.
detail.
It's like you should just make a YouTube series on like YouTube instructionals, tutorial in itself like that.
I think if I wanted to give myself a fifth job, I could probably make some videos that I post up on. There's one of those like teach yourself websites where you pay for viewership, and that would be a great source of income. I feel like, or write a book, maybe even on this, which is another great source of income. I always have to think about things in terms of business nowadays. I've got to save up money. Like, I mean, with all these jobs that I have, like I still can't afford a house. I mean, I've got a mortgage on a house I have right now that I only own 70% of, which is decent, 70% left on my mortgage, but I don't own the house completely. It's tough, man. The real world sucks.
Yeah.
Adulting sucks, guys.
We should go live in Star Citizen and just fly spaceships.
Yeah, screw the world. I'm going to live in Star Citizen. I don't care about anything. I'm just going into the Oasis, right?
That's right. Yeah. How did you what game did you actually start with in this whole shenanigan? Space Engineers?
No.
No.
I actually started with PlanetSide 2.
PlanetSide 2.
Funny story, I was playing PlanetSide 2 one day and I was just thinking to myself after watching YouTube in the background at my play, like, you know what? I bet I could do this. This seems easy. Oh, I'll just put some videos together and people will watch them, right? Oh, how naive I was. How naive. But I learned in time. So my first videos, you'll find they're still there, buried under hundreds of videos now, are PlanetSide 2 videos. And actually recently I did a few PlanetSide videos which had huge amount of views, which is crazy to think that people still watching videos on that game. But yeah, people love it. There's some really cool updates to it. Then it was Space Engineers afterward. People know me best for Space Engineers, but I actually started doing videos on PlanetSide 2.
I would love to know your video game resume. You know what I mean when I ask that?
Yeah. Well, actually, it starts way back, way back. We could go into great detail, if you like. But
absolutely, that's what we're here for.
So
get your popcorn ready, guys.
If we go back to my first days playing video games, obviously I started like many others playing Halo on Xbox. But I was also always a computer nerd. I remember going to kindergarten and my first experience with a video game was on a crappy old floppy disk drive. I think it was every person who went to school in the United States will have had this experience, but it was playing the that Pilgrim Road. I can't remember the name of it. That horrifying game where you trek across the United States. Somebody's going to say it in the comment section.
I'm waiting.
And like it was basically as a software to teach students, like very young students, about the hardships of pilgrims going across the United States to California in the early days of the United States, and like people dying of disease and stuff. It was really horrifying to show kids. But it was just text, really. So it really didn't actually show you anything graphic, but the content itself was pretty freaking dark. Oregon Trail, yeah, that was it. Oregon Trail.
Okay.
So that started off my love. Yeah, it was Oregon Trail. That was right. Not Oregon Trail, but kind of like Oregon Trail. That's a funny typo because it kind of makes sense. It was Oregon Trail. But yeah, that was old when I played it. And after that, I was like, I want more. Then it was Half-Life. Half-Life got me into Counter-Strike, CS 1.6. I played a lot of CS 1.6. In fact, I got to Cal I. If you guys don't remember, that was like the highest level of competitive gameplay back in the 1.6 days. Played CPL. Had a team that placed 16 to 24th, named 50 Cal. And then I also did shoutcasting actually for Counter-Strike Live on a network called TSN back
That's
in the
cool.
day.
Wow.
And that's where I really started with, learning how to use my voice, and probably what inspired me to eventually get into YouTube when I started playing PlanetSide 2, because I always loved doing shoutcasting. I loved doing stuff um, with my voice on recording and live, and having viewership and stuff. I thought that was always cool to interact with people and stuff. And then then we come to PlanetSide 2, and eventually to the modern day and here in Star Citizen, and that's kind of where I started. So I definitely didn't start from zero starting YouTube. I had a background in
Yeah,
doing live radio.
it's quite a career.
Yeah, quite a career. It's crazy. From competitive Counter-Strike really to now, or Xbox. So yeah, that's kind of my gaming life story. There you guys have it.
Yeah.
Full details.
And just for the record, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So if you ever have anything you'd like to just give me a nudge about, you're more than welcome to. Yeah.
No, sure,
Uh,
sure.
so were you known as Morphologist through this entire career, or did you have a different name? How did Morphologist come about?
I actually didn't have the name Morphologist back when I was doing professional Counter-Strike. My name was Blue back then. And before that, it was oh, I missed something in this entire explanation. There's one thing that I do need to mention in my gaming history, and that's my first experience with an MMO ever. 890 jump is falling out of the sky. Just ran out of fuel. Cool. We're gonna die.
You still have the client open?
I do, yeah.
Uh,
It just fell to the ground. It just ran out of fuel. That's
no.
hilarious. Anyway, I didn't notice that you were gone until just now.
Yeah.
I played Star Wars Galaxies, my first MMO,
That's good.
and I never watched a Star Wars movie before then.
What?
Yes, I know, crazy. And that's what got me into Star Wars. Star Wars Galaxies got me into Star Wars.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. No, I was at oh God, going into crazy detail now. When I was in high school, there were things called LAN parties that have just since disappeared. That was before the days of fast internet, when we were still running on really shitty DSL connections, or God forbid 128 or 56Ks. And so the best thing to do was to get your friends together and bring your old vanilla colored computers that were amazing back then, and hook them up at a local area network at somebody's house or at a rented convention center, and play a game. And that was the first time I'd seen somebody playing Star Wars Galaxies. It was like, well, what is that game? That looks so cool. You're running through what looks to be a big grassy field, and you haven't stopped. This is strange. What is this? And he was like, well, actually, this is on a planet in a star system, and a game where you can like visit anywhere you like and become part of this universe. I'm like, oh, I've heard of Star Wars. It seems kind of cool. I've never seen it, but maybe we'll give it a try. And I gave it a try. I fell absolutely in love with it, and went all the way through becoming a force sensitive Jedi Padawan before they changed over where everybody could become Jedi in the NGE, those bastards.
Yeah.
Language. Yeah, and that's when that's when I fell in love with MMOs, and when my heart was broken simultaneously, because after that there was never a game until Star Citizen that was as ambitious, as detailed, and that's so sad.
Such a romantic story, though. You just talk about your first love and bittersweet moments of it, and then your next girlfriend's a little crazy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, this definitely is a love-hate relationship. It's like one where, the most beautiful girl you've ever seen, but she occasionally beats you from time to time. But she's like sweet some days, and other days she just like berates you.
Well, she's the
That's
most
Star
beautiful
Citizen.
thing out there. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's nothing else like her, that sort of thing.
I was gonna say that I think today is the first time since 3.0 that the servers have been like down, like they're not working. I mean, they're working now, but I was quite surprised by that.
Um, the servers are. Sorry, you said you're surprised by the servers not working.
Yeah, they were down today. They were down for like 2 or 3 hours, I think.
You were surprised by
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
that?
yeah. When is the last time that you remember them being down, like fully down?
uh, Thinking. I don't remember the last time, but I'm certain there was a time.
I mean,
But I think that the Invictus event, I think this is going to be happening more and more often, to be honest.
what's that?
Because the reason why I say that is because Star Citizen is getting more and more attention from the general community at large, so the gaming community at large, because Star Citizen is getting to the point where it's now a game where you could sit down and play for hours. And I do every week on stream play for hours. It's definitely still not to the point where you can continually do it for a normal person over and over again. I have to invent reasons to play it after a certain point, like through my community events. So the average player won't have access to a cool community to be able to organize stuff like this. But it's gotten to the point where you don't need that. You can almost just jump into the game and find a player, find a group of guys in a starport, talk to them with VoIP, and say, "Hey, can I jump on board your ship?" Or you might just be invited randomly, and that's happened to people on stream who've just gotten into it, who are big streamers from other communities, who are like, "I want to try this out. Seems cool," and they get invited on board a starship, and everything just blows their mind, and is the most incredibly fun experience to watch, is to live through their eyes of seeing all this stuff for the first time, because it really is unbelievable. Um, you really do have to sometimes take a step back from Star Citizen to realize just how jaw-dropping this game is, what they've been able to accomplish. Because we're a bit jaded, I think. I think you probably are a bit jaded yourself. I'm
Oh
guessing we
gosh.
all kind of get to that point, right? Covering Star Citizen is where you kind of take some stuff for granted, but then you go visit other games and you realize, wow, this is really limited. I can't believe I didn't think that I couldn't do this before, but Star Citizen kind of opens your eyes to the possibilities. Like there was this one guy I was watching, and I know I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here, um, from the original question, which now I don't even remember. That I was watching this guy who I guess is from the Tarkov community. He was playing Star Citizen, and he was describing, no, it was Elite Dangerous player. He jumped into Star Citizen, and he was struggling with getting where he needed to go, and he suddenly realized, oh, I should look at the signs. The signs on the walls are telling me where to go. Okay. Then he gets into a ship, and he's like, all right, how do I take off? And he's looking for the buttons, and takes him a minute, and then he has to press the button, and then he can like start his engines, he can start his systems. Then he can't take off because he can't get out of the hangar. It's closed. And he's like, well, why can't I leave? What's going on here? Okay. I need to request ATC to give me clearance for takeoff. And there's like all these layers of detail that you've never really thought of before Star Citizen introduced. And it's sort of like a duh. Oh yeah, like of course. If you're living in a virtual universe, these would be things you would expect to encounter. You get lost in a city, you'd have to request a clearance to go in and out of cities because you don't want to accidentally run into a building or other players. Like all these things that, once you get in for a while, you get jaded and you kind of forget that no other game has done this before. I think that's just so damn cool. But yeah, I think what was the original question?
I don't know if there was. I agree to you to a certain extent. But like I had, like you had for Star Wars Galaxies, I played Ultima Online, which is just
Hmm.
before Galaxies, and that's how I was. It's like, okay, no game will ever be the same ever again, because these
Hmm.
types of like magical MMOs kind of, they break the mold, they break our brains. So I don't, I can't leave Star Citizen. And I don't feel compelled to, except for like Kerbal. If they bring orbital mechanics into Star Citizen, then that would be cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. I haven't played a Kerbal Space Program, but I have actually seen people play it before, and I'm quite familiar. There was a famous person in our community, space engineers, that was well known for doing Kerbal Space Program stuff. His name is Scott Manley. He's actually an
Yes,
astrophysicist, so it's
I
really
love Scotty.
cool to watch his work on Kerbal Space Program.
Scotty's one of my favorite YouTubers. I'm always excited when a new episode of his comes out. I love I love the his episodes on just rocket physics, not physics. It's well, rocket engineering, I guess. Like how how the casts are done for the engine bells, or just these really
Hmm.
small or the ignition pins. Was the pins? Nozzles. Anyways,
Hmm.
this is really complicated. Um, I really like space. It's great.
No, I do too. And that's kind of why I'm into it. It's stars. All the themes. I don't know if you noticed, aside from the what's it, Counter Strike 1.6 have been science fiction based games. So yeah, I'm into space, man. I think it's so cool, and I love that aspect of Star Citizen, and that's what's drawn me to these other titles originally.
I was when I was playing earlier today, I was looking like up at I was in ArcCorp and I was looking up at the sky and I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. I could see the stars through like the atmosphere or whatever. And then I was like, man, I'm so surprised that Star Citizen still uses a skybox. I wonder if one day in the future it won't have a skybox anymore.
Oh, you mean like with the stars being real?
Yeah.
I suspect that with the level of detail that they're going to, that eventually some of those stars will actually be real. Um, but me, I don't know. We'll have to see to what extent they're able to go. Especially initially, I think it'll be a skybox, but it may be a generative skybox that changes um, realistically relative to your position in the universe, depending which star system you go to. I could see them doing something like that. And you know what? I suspect that that might be one of the things that they need to consider for Pyro that they haven't talked about. That'd be a really cool question to ask on an upcoming like dev videos. Like, what are your guys' thoughts about changing the skybox for Pyro? How is it going to change? Is it going to change? And if it's going to change, how do you generate that skybox? Is there some consideration for its realistic change relative to position? That'd be, I mean, it's really nerdy, but it's kind of
No,
cool.
it's I got to think like the type of person Chris Roberts is. Like, how does he sleep at night knowing there's still a skybox? And like, yes, there has to be fidelity to a skybox. So I think this thing has to happen. I think it's
Well,
inevitable.
it is a really, really high resolution skybox. I'll give them that. It's incredibly beautiful.
But we have to transit through space, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. You got to transit through space. Well, I mean, I think I'd be happy if it were a skybox that changed relative to position for different systems. Because realistically, the skybox wouldn't change at all because things are so far away in a given system, depending on where you are in that system. You just wouldn't see something change position unless it was a star that was really, really quite close to the system that you're in. Um, but I think it'd be cool to be able to look up in the sky and say, all right, I can see that nebula. I know where that nebula is. I kind of understand where I am right now in the Milky Way galaxy relative to, Nix or something. Or like maybe you can see the pulsar of or the pre supernova star of Pyro, or you can see the coil from afar. That I think would be really, really cool because that's a huge um uh, like object in the universe, right? That gas cloud surrounding the star in the coil. So yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have that level of detail in Star Citizen. I suspect that they will. I really do.
I keep thinking about like I listen to like the Apollo recordings, like the mission recordings. Um,
Hmm.
and I think about like they always had to use like a sextant to like track their position as they're transiting to the moon. And I'm like, man, this is a Star Citizen thing. There should be like sextants, space sextants for Star Citizen. Sorry, Ultima had sextants. I guess that's why I'm thinking about.
You'd like some more hard. Well, to that end, I think that there is some level of sophistication that I'd like to see to navigation in the future. Very much like what they've done for mining. I think mining is a great precedent to set for turning something that is often thought of as more of a boring profession in other games because of the way it's been done to something really interesting that involves skill and actually has some level of reward and entertainment value to it. It's actually fun to watch people stream mining, and I've seen a lot of new players who don't play Star Citizen get into a prospector and actually thoroughly enjoy doing it. There's a guy who plays mostly Tarkov. So he's a real big FPS shooter, but he was doing a ton of mining and really enjoying it in the prospector, which is just so weird to think that a guy who loves FPS combat and all he does is FPS combat really enjoys something that I'm sure would bore the hell out of him in EVE Online.
So
So I think that, you know, I would like to see that level of sophistication then added into scanning and into exploration, to be able to have to search out stars and plot paths forward and have maybe a little bit of a mini game to it to give it a very rewarding feeling when you succeed in something.
my conspiracy theory or theory craft is that everything is going to be created from mining. Like they're just going
I
to
think
use mining. Sorry.
really.
That's what I think. I don't know. I'm crazy. We'll see. Salvage next week, so that's exciting. Hey.
Is that what they said they're going to show us?
Yeah.
Wow, it's going to make a lot of people. That's gonna post a lot of threads in Reddit for
Yep.
sure. People are going to be going nuts. I'm glad that they're trying to make it different. To be honest, I hope it's just as interesting though as mining. Maybe so close to mining though that you may be right that it's going to look like mining. But I certainly don't think for something like wormhole navigation, which is something that, or not jump point navigation, which is something the Carrack is supposed to do, will be the same thing. So plotting a course forward through a jump point should be its own different type mini game than mining, if that makes sense.
So Salvage was mentioned in the Star Citizen Live this morning at the very end. It was like the last thing. And next week, just to answer the guys in chat. Tell me about Armco. What is Armco?
Armco is actually based on Star Citizen lore. Armco is short for New Armitage Company. New Armitage, if you know the lore of Star Citizen, was the first world colony to be attacked by the Vanduul, and the UEE lost very badly and had to abandon the system. And the Vanduul proceeded to just completely destroy the planet, and the remaining inhabitants were obviously killed. And we based our lore off of New Armitage, saying that we were we felt betrayed by the UEE because they abandoned our our system, and we had some guys stay back to try to basically set up a defense of a mishmash of industrial, retired military ships and mercenary ships, volunteers to try to hold off the Vanduul invasion for just as long as possible to allow for the escape of the remaining people on New Armitage. And unfortunately, all those people died, but the people who survived then formed the New Armitage Company, vowing to return to New Armitage and retake back what's ours, even if the UEE won't help us. So that's kind of our backstory. We've got a huge like story written up actually on our New Armitage Company little like webpage on Spectrum. If anybody's interested in reading the backstory of New Armitage Company, it's really cool. I really like the idea. So we're not like a pirate company. We're more like a mishmash group of Han Solo type, mercenaries, independent smugglers, gray to white hat sort of guys. But no, not really any black hats.
Is there? I mean, there's a lot to Armco, Armitage. Like it's just on one aspect, outside of the RP stuff, it's a gaming group with you and your friends, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what other games do you play with it?
Well, our community is really big, so a lot of different games have Armco, and I was playing the last Oasis with some community members, and we made Armco in that. We've got an Armco in PlanetSide 2. We've got well, basically every game we play on stream, we make a community for that survives in some way, depending on how long we spend time. Like I'm not a full-time YouTuber, as you know, I've said. So unfortunately, a lot of the other ones kind of either die off or get so small that they kind of die a little bit until I revive them and go back and visit the game. So mostly, you Star Citizen for me is what's really live. Captain Shack is keeping up some himself and what have you.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's waste of space.
with 1,443 members, that's kind of a big deal. That's only Star Citizen. So you do.
Yeah, I mean, our community's got over 20,000 people in
That's
it.
crazy. My gosh. Wow, good job. And how long have you been doing that for?
Well, since we started well, not since we started it, somewhere in the middle of doing the stuff for space engineers, so a few years.
That's amazing. Well done. Man, everything you do like perfectly. Just very,
Well,
which is reassuring because if you're an architect, that means you're probably building safe buildings. So good thing.
only if you have fallen down. I'm just kidding. If one falls down, I'm unfortunately out of that field forever. So yeah, we got
Is
to
that
be
how it
really
works?
precise. That's how it works.
Wow.
If one building fails, you lose your license. You're blacklisted. You're not able to practice or design anywhere with your name. If you get caught, you could go to prison.
That's crazy. I had no
Well,
idea.
but it's because if you design a building that kills people, you're responsible for it. If of course a court of law finds that you were culpable. Ultimately, that's not always the case. If a building falls down, sometimes it wasn't your fault. Sometimes it was the construction company that um, didn't follow specifications, and if you can prove that in court, then you can keep your license. But of course, you'll always have a little bit of a blemish on your record, won't you, because of what happened. So it's a pretty harsh world, but perfectly doable. You just gotta. That's why there's so much schooling involved. Minimum of around probably 6 to 8 years of schooling, and licensing is its own thing, and getting experience is its own thing, and all that is there are layers and layers of protections for people so that something like that doesn't happen. It weeds out the less scrupulous of us so that we can produce safe structures for people to inhabit.
It's like you're literally a doctor. I mean, it sounds like you're talking about the Hippocratic Oath or something. Is there an
No, it
oath?
is.
You get like a piece of jewelry
No,
with it or something?
there isn't an oath, but you are right in saying that's very much like being a doctor. The level of schooling you have to go through, your residency that you do in medical school is basically we do the same thing. You have to work in an architectural firm under a licensed architect to be able to even qualify to take the exam to become a licensed architect. And you have to do that for 2 years, and they have to approve that you did a good job, and write that recommendation along with some other colleagues in order to be able to take the exam, and then you have to pass the exam, which is in itself extremely difficult. I myself have not gone through that because I work now in Taiwan, where I can't have a license because I am a foreigner. I could, if I wanted to take it, I think that it is a possibility, but I would have to take it in Chinese, and my Chinese is good, but not that good. So I think eventually I will go back and work in the U.S. and go through that process of getting my license. I qualify through my work experience, and I would have to take the exam, but it changes every year, so I have to prepare a year before I'm ready to do that. But I do love Taiwan. Yeah, that's the problem. I love Taiwan, and I'm not ready to leave. So I don't know. I've been talking about it for a while now, and I really want to get that license and stuff. So I may have to go back and work in the U.S. For some time to do so.
What's so great about Taiwan?
Food, and food.
Ah,
Um,
damn. Hi, it's good points.
yeah, all valid points. But I also really, I enjoy the people here. Um, they're very welcoming. Quality of life is high. Cost of living is low. Healthcare is great, better than in the U.S. There's a lot of things to love about Taiwan, and so I don't know. The only thing is that there's some stuff that is really hard to get past, and that's ownership of property here is really difficult because of the price involved. Like you can buy a house pretty easily out in the countryside, that's not a problem, but buying a house in the city, The housing market here is inflated to insane levels. Like a small studio apartment can cost 1.5 million US dollars to buy.
That's crazy. That's not what
And
I would expected.
the loan terms they offer here are in like 90 years. We are used to 30 years being a long loan term, but here it's 90. So basically, you'll never pay it off before you die.
Yeah.
And that's just how people have houses here, unless you have a crap ton of money.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's because it's Taipei. Taipei is per square foot the one of the most expensive places to live on Earth. And if you take into account income, it is the most expensive place to live on Earth. So obviously, per square foot, New York is cheaper, but income in New York is higher on average than here in Taiwan. So if you take that into account here, and we're talking New York prices here for apartments. So like a nice apartment, go for 20 million US dollars, basically what you pay in New York. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Aside from that fact, life is good here. That's the one thing that I don't like about Taiwan that I think the U.S. does better, is a bit more balance. And the U.S. is definitely not to get too much in politics, definitely not perfect when it comes to affordability for housing, but at least most people can consider buying a house within their lifetime. Here, it's near impossibility in Taipei.
Could you live anywhere in the States? Like, where would you want to go to the States?
You know, for architecture, one of the best places to live is actually California. For work, because the pay is highest there, but of course the housing cost is also one of the highest in the world as well. So
Right.
it's the same deal. You hardly make enough money to live in a studio apartment, still making like 80 a year. So you make 80 a year, and almost all that goes towards rent. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah. I think about our parents that, bought their own houses when they're 19 years old.
Yeah. And those are the same people saying, "Why don't you guys work harder and buy a house?"
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but my dad just doesn't get how much harder it is nowadays to actually afford things than it was. Like our income hasn't actually gone up with productivity for 30 years now, since the economic boom of the 80s. Productivity has shot through the roof, but income has stayed exactly the same.
Yep.
So it's tough, man. It's tough for people. But stars back on us. That's a little bit of a depressing topic. Started to go off onto that tangent.
No,
but,
that's cool.
Star Citizen is awesome.
It is.
And
Yeah,
so is Taiwan. So that's why I'm here. That's why I love it. And like I said with earlier about the projects I'm doing here, they're awesome. We won best our project won best world architecture 2019 and is on the cover of Fiden's World's Best Architecture 2019. So if you guys go into a bookstore, look for a Fiden book, that project on the front cover, that's the firm I work at. That's IMO. That's our project. Right on the front cover. Pretty freaking amazing. We won Master Prize Best Architecture, which isn't like the Pritzker Prize, but it's pretty high up there, as well as Architizer A+ Awards Best Architecture, APR World Architecture Awards First Prize, Novum Awards Silver. Like the amount of awards we've won here with this little firm in the past 2 years has been nuts. And that's because of the amount of hard work and effort we put into it, and the creativity in the studio. Certainly not just myself. Everybody in the firm contributes and works really hard to make our projects what they are. I don't think any one of us could have done any of these on our own. They're all completely very forward-thinking and done as a group, as opposed to more traditional single-person ego-based projects.
If hypothetically a CIG asked you to work for them, would you want to do something like that?
I might actually.
Yeah.
Because if the pay was good enough, and if it was if it was in Germany, I'd probably have to turn it down. But if it was in the UK or the US, I would definitely consider it, depending on the amount of money they pay. Working as an architectural consultant for CIG
Yes.
is definitely something I would consider doing. But, and this is a big but, if it meant that I had to give up everything else, then that would be a big fat no, because I don't want to give up doing YouTube. I certainly don't want to give up streaming, and if I could never do moonlighting as an architect again, that would also be a big no, because I have my own dreams of building homes and going and applying for awards and trying to reach some level, uh, maybe even half as famous as Frank Lloyd Wright. So I've got a long way to go before I'm anywhere near that.
That's cool. Well,
So
you're in like a foreign country winning awards, so I think that's pretty successful.
those are international awards, by the way. Those aren't locals. So
Wow.
that's like we're competing against the entire world, which is just damned impressive. IMO is such an impressive, and the principal that works there is such a great leader, and I've learned a lot working with him. Um, and that I can bring back eventually when I want to start my own firm. Like seriously, I've got my own firm in the U.S., but it's really basically not doing anything because I'm working so heavily here in Taiwan. So I want to take that back and use what I learned to do some really cool projects eventually.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, good for you. Um, have you played much? I'm sorry to go back. Have you played much Star Wars Galaxies recently?
No, I haven't. I visited about a year ago. I jumped on to one the emulator server, and I
Yeah.
also tried out. There was another version that actually has jump to light speed going, and I actually am more leaning towards that. Sadly, that's not pre-CU. That's NGE with
Mm.
some pre-CU elements, which is kind of weird, but really cool actually, and I kind of dig that. If I do go back and play, it might be that. The only problem is that when you remember Star Wars Galaxies, you've got these rose tinted glasses on, right? It
That's true.
had the graphics, the like the what you can do in it. They were all really impressive for the time. But I think we've gotten to the point now, well past the point that it shows its age. It's definitely got some issues in it visually, right? But yeah, I mean, eventually I'll go back and play. Have you gone and tried any of the emulators or anything like that?
No, that's why I was asking because I'm secret. Well, I'm not like I'm trying to enlist more people to get together and play a group of Star Wars Galaxies. Like, there's maybe 10 other people I talk to that play Star Wars Galaxies, and I'm like, man, we should just all do like a group stream together in Star Wars Galaxies. I think that would be fun.
Well, I would be open to that at some point. I know
Yeah.
Captain Shack, my friend, who also started this community, would probably be open to it. We'd have to set something up well ahead of time, though. He's a very
Mm-hmm.
busy man,
Mm-hmm.
and as am I, sadly. So we'd have to really think about it and plan it out in advance. But it's definitely something we could do on a day. Go back and visit it and see how things have changed. The jump to light speed update for the EMU sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to jump back into Millennium Falcon, a YT 1300, and do some missions together as a party and show what once was the most incredibly ambitious project before Star Citizen to the viewer to the fan base here. I think they'd be really interested to see what they were able to accomplish even back then. It's really impressive. I mean, the customization you could do with your house, with your ship, with the component systems, the player run economy with player created components and ship components, weapons and armor, and all that was done by players. And like the best armor and the best everything was created by players. You have to find them, go to their store somewhere on a planet and seek them out. And oh god, it was so cool.
So
It was
cool.
so cool. Like the amount of detail that they had in that game, it's just to this day has not been equaled even by half.
I mean, I would still say it hasn't been equaled by Star Citizen yet. Once we see maybe the Javelin in game, then I would say Star Citizen is a step further than Star Wars Galaxies is.
Yeah, I would say Star Citizen definitely on its trajectory is going to pass Star Citizen eventually, but we need to get it's missing some really important things. Like there's no real ownership of player of habs yet,
Mm-hmm.
housing.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of just a place you spawn, but nothing in it really changes. It's a static environment. Same for ships. Ships are identical. There's no real personalization to them. We get ship paint in 3.9, which is awesome, 391, but it's really only baby steps so far. We need to get a little bit more to it than that. And once we get to that point where we can like put our own stuff in ships, put our own stuff in stations, get maybe even some elements of the ship that are player made, I think that would then pass it, because the fidelity and the amount of detail in Star Citizen obviously surpasses what Star Wars Galaxies could have ever dreamed of doing with the technology that they had back then.
It's amazing what they got done for the technology they had back. That's like 16 years ago. Like that's
It's nuts,
crazy.
yeah. It's nuts to think that you could be standing on a starship in space, flying around, looking out the window, while it's happening, and that the only game to ever do that since has been Star Citizen. Yeah, with the tech that they had, I mean, they cut a lot of corners to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how they had to do it, but they made it work, and it was completely immersive and playable, and for the time blew everybody's minds. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks that nobody has ever tried again to do something
Doesn't
like
that
that.
suck? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too ambitious. Like Star Wars Galaxies, after World of Warcraft, just proved to be an untenable model for making a profit for a company for making an MMO. It's just there was too much detail in it. There was too much complexity, and they saw that a simple game like and it's not too simple, but it is simple by comparison. World of Warcraft just is so much more profitable. So now everybody makes World of Warcraft clones, except for Star Citizen, obviously.
Yeah. I was going to say like the Old Republic, Star Wars The Old Republic is a WoW clone in my opinion. People might
It
debate that,
is,
but when I started playing it, it was.
even the art is there. There was a time where they were emulating a bit of Star Wars Galaxies, and they had some of the developers that worked on Galaxies working for them, from LucasArts. And at some point, they decided, somebody, and I'm guessing it was a dick in a suit, said, what would be really great? Let's make all these characters really freaking cartoony. Let's make it look cartoony, you know, like World of Warcraft, because that's really successful, and everybody who's ever copied it has also enjoyed that amount of success.
It's such a
Okay.
it's a nicotine delivery device. That's what WoW is. The WoW model. It gets your addictive parts of your brain hooked, I think.
It does, but we shouldn't be too harsh on World of Warcraft, because for what they did, it's still really impressive. The amount of detail in the lore and the art there. Yeah, the systems weren't all that complicated, but the level of detail and the world building and everything is just incredible in World of Warcraft. The problem is that everybody tried to replicate it and make cheaper versions of it. You know, and that's what sucks. Is that you hate. I want innovation. I want ambition. Where's the creative work being done? It's just you don't see it. Star Citizen does that. They're wildly ambitious. They're to me the next LucasArts of back then. They're doing what I think Star Wars Galaxies would have become if they continued being ambitious and updating their system and made a universe. That's to me what Star Citizen represents. It's
My only,
it's my Star Wars Galaxies, yeah.
my only concern with that, I just wonder if it's like the budget requirement to build these games is exponent, like it's like Moore's law. It's just curving upwards. Like I wonder if okay, Star Citizen is complete at like a $500 million budget. Into like one up Star Citizen, it's going to cost like $1 billion, like the sequel or whatever comes afterwards.
Honestly, I'm not sure anything will come afterwards. I don't know if we'll ever be done again, something like this. I think technology has to be improved so much, like the tools and what have you. Maybe if they sell the tools that they use to develop Star Citizen, we'll see more games like it that are this big. But yeah, starting from scratch, I just don't see it. I just don't see it ever happening again. The
Interesting.
amount of money they've had to spend, I mean, it's close, if not surpassing, AAA title budgets, and it has shown no signs of stopping.
It's definitely not going to stop. Would they
Yeah,
stop? Would you stop if the money just keeps coming in? And you're like, no, hold on. We're making too much money, guys. Let's throttle down.
no, of course not. No, they're and what's great about CIG is that they've decided, uh, you know, quite rightly, as we would hope they would, that they're just going to keep rolling this money back into development to make the game better and better and better and better, and improve it and achieve all the goals they set. So that's great. That's great. But yeah, I don't see any signs of stopping. Honestly, will we need a game after Star Citizen? Question mark. I'm not so sure about that either, because if they continually to get funding, if they achieve their goals and people want to keep playing Star Citizen, keep evolving Star Citizen, keep making it bigger, improve the engine. I mean, they've have you looked back at any point what Star Citizen used to look like back when they had a first actual tech demo of like the F7C? God, holy crap, it looks horrible. And that's based off of the same framework that this engine is on now. So I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't be able to update Star Citizen's engine continually and make it better, given enough funding to make Star Citizen just always the game people come back to. Will that model work in the end? I have no idea. I hope it does. But if it does, I think that's what we're going to look forward to, is Star Citizen just continually growing and getting bigger and crazier and more detailed and more awesome. So
That's why I like the idea of them selling currency. To me, that's something that can sell forever. Always a demand for it.
yeah, we'll have to see. Honestly, you know what? I think they're always going to sell ships,
You think so?
and I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm okay with it is because it's there's shortcuts to in the game, really, to try to get something a little bit better than the standard starter ship. And you know what? They're if they want to do that, fine. I'm it's not hurting me personally about with my experience. The verse is big enough that I can avoid those people if they're coming after me, and I honestly enjoy that more than starting with a better ship. And here's why: because when I was playing with the Mustang Alpha, doing bounty hunting missions against real players, I knew I was always the underdog. There's no way there's no way that they would expect me to win. I'm in a starter ship. So that made me killing them so much more gratifying. Because I killed you in a starter ship, buddy. And the amount of enjoyment I'm getting out of that experience versus what they're getting out of that experience with their more expensive ship is infinitely more. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, I think people are short selling themselves if they if I definitely don't think that means don't buy those ships. I think there's something to it, like for an org to buy a big ship because you ultimately need a lot of people to man it. If you want to make a shortcut and you've got the financial means to support the project by buying a Javelin, fine, do it. You still need 80 people to man it, but that's kind of the balance of it, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm selling currency thing I'm a little bit worried about though, because it is a direct translation to power, because upgrading modules and paying for uh ammunition and upkeep, that's kind of what balances Star Citizen in a way to me. Because that's the downside of buying a Javelin, is that you've got to have the logistics to support upkeep of it, so that if you're just buying a Jav, you can't just run it. If you're Mr. Moneybags going out there buying a Javelin, you can't just go in there, get a full AI crew, fully man it, and refuel it just because you're pumping tens of thousands of dollars into the game. I kind of don't want that sort of experience. Um, I I feel like that somehow makes it's kind of a little bit unfair to some people. So I like the idea that they have to rely on the support of other players.
I don't
They can still
disagree.
get the ship. What?
I don't disagree. Yeah. I just think that like if you like if you sell currency, you're essentially selling the same thing as ships. Like if you buy a ship with just buy a ship, you could just sell it for currency, couldn't you? So aren't
You know what? I think I agree. There's something I should say. I should take back what I said a bit. I agree with you that they should sell currency, and here's why. Hear me out on this one. Sell currency at a cap. Why? Because you need to limit it to some level, but you also needed to control the money, control the market, the black market of currency value. Because in other games, in all other games, if you played MMOs, there are black market sellers of currency for real money. And you don't want that to happen in Star Citizen. You don't want to have people out there farming currency and selling it and devaluing that currency and creating that imbalance in the game. You want to control that. It's going to happen no matter what, and the only way to do it is to basically legalize it and control it,
yeah.
right?
That's right. I fully believe it. I support gold farming. I just think that we don't need slaves. There shouldn't be slaves that do gold farming.
Exactly. I don't want to send there is a sweat factory market in China for literally people on video games that farm currency just to make money for some dick who is taking advantage of those poor people. It's not even just bots anymore. A lot of games have mechanisms to counter bots. So yeah, I mean, I'd rather make it untenable for those sorts of people to use Star Citizen as a platform for that.
It really sucks that that's what it comes down to. But I am a big fan of the gray market. Like I have quite a few friends who make a living just selling ships. I think that's so cool. So
Yeah,
I
I think that maybe that CIG should reconsider the gray market as a they might want to reconsider how they deal with it. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because ultimately it they need to support the project if people are going to the gray market to buy ships more often. Then they're not going to be funding the project of development. It hurts the project as a whole. But at the same time, the gray market's always going to exist, and you want to prevent people from being taken advantage of in the gray market, because there are people out there who will sell you a ship and then go claim that ship back to their account, and they'll still have your money.
yeah, that's
And
true.
that's the really dangerous part of the gray market. So it's great your friends are making money, but I certainly still wouldn't suggest anybody watching this video or listening to the stream ever go to the gray market and buy a ship, unless it's somebody that you maybe know even in real life or explicitly trust. Because there are people that I've met in my time playing games. I played a game called Silk Road Online, that will, to get your extremely valuable items, will befriend you for a year and then backstab you at the last minute and steal your account and all of your stuff. So those are social engineering scam artists that just befriend you and lie to you for a long period of time just to take your shit, and it sucks. So yeah, just be careful, guys. Just be really, really careful. I would never ever recommend that. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that's
I know
good
your
to
friend's
know.
making money.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. I appreciate your perspective because I just hang out with too many people that are like me and we're into the gray market. So it's your fresh perspective.
Yeah, I've gotten back. I used to own. I don't know. Very few people probably know about Silk Road Online, but it was an MMORPG from Korea that was really popular at one point. And there were these items in game called Sosun. They were the most rare, most sought after stuff, and you could sell those on the black market for real money for sometimes $1,000 for just a weapon. So those accounts were worth a ton of money, and my character had, through my years of playing, uh, entirely all Sosun stuff. And I had a friend that I was that told me, that we were good friends with, and like we had each other's phone numbers. We played with each other regularly for a year, and one day my account disappeared, and it turned out that he had stolen my account, and
Yikes.
that he was laughing at me with a group of other friends. And I'd found out that he had done this to other people. He had done this to multiple people. And then he kept doing it, and I tried to warn other people, but they didn't want to believe that they were being played like that. And there are people out there that will do that to you. They will seem like your best friend, but they are not. They are just using you to get something from you, and it sucks. It sucks that those people exist, but that's why I am so afraid to ever recommend the gray market to anybody.
It's like, who
Because
do you even
people,
trust nowadays?
hey, with the internet, man, it's hard to know. It's really hard to know.
So I was going to bring up the roadmap. We want to take a look at the roadmap?
Sure.
Have you seen it already?
Have they updated it recently?
Oh, they updated it today. Oops.
Let me take a look.
Okay, so if you see the stream, I put the spreadsheet on there. You can see that. So the green stuff is progress done. I wonder if I can just magnify this. But anyways,
Eddie Parr, new Babbage the Shop editions, Grim Hex. AI polishing is done. Wow, impressive. Elevator panels have not been done yet. New targeting methodology, very good. Almost done. Body dragging, I saw that they greenlit that. That's awesome.
How do you like that? That
I
feature.
now we're getting down into the real Star Citizen based stuff. Yeah, that I'm really no. I like that we talked about this other stuff, but this Star Citizen specific stuff is really exciting. I'm really excited for body dragging, because I'm not sure what they're planning on doing initially. I'm sure it's going to be pretty basic, but you know, one can hope that it's going to lead to things like using the new stun weapons that they're bringing in
Oh, right.
310
Yeah.
to stun people and drag them, as opposed to killing people, killing players. So you can stun a guy, drag him into an airlock, and get him out of your ship instead of just killing him. Same, for or going to Korea. If you don't want to be a criminal, or if you're a criminal who's more like maybe you got caught smuggling, but you don't want to go murder people, and that's not really your thing in lore. Because some people are really into that, right? Because some people really, really are dedicated to their character, and they don't want to do anything that would detrimentally affect their character. So giving them an option to subdue somebody and get them out of the way, as opposed to having to kill them, as right now is that's the only option, I think would be fantastic. For medical gameplay, dragging somebody to a medical bed who's passed out as opposed to them just dying right away, I think would be a really cool thing to give, because there are people in my organization Armco that just want to be guys who support and are medics and heal people and get them out of danger and rescue people. Like, they're really into that, and I think that'd be really exciting for them. And I find that really exciting too. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to body dragging. I really hope it's. Oh, and then of course the cool mechanics of like hiding bodies.
Yeah.
Um,
The obvious things, I guess.
so there's another mission on Hurston, for example, that you can only kill people in. That's the one you get for working with the guy in Waste and Reclamation in Hurston. I forget his name. Really cool actor, by the way, who did that mocap. He if you take his mission to go take the server blade, you have to go into a Hurston security outpost that has Hurston security personnel in it. And the only way right now to complete that mission is to kill the security guards, which of course gives you a level 4 crime stat. But that seems like, for 10,000, that seems like too little money. And I don't think I don't want them to rebalance that mission to make it pay more. I think it pays enough if you had an option to not kill the guards. If we
Oh,
could go in
yeah.
there and use those stun weapons, knock them out, drag their bodies, and try to maybe sneak past the rest to do the server blade part of the mission, I think that is way more compelling. It gives us a different option as a player, because I see myself as more of like a Han Solo type in Star Citizen. Obviously, I'm going to get in situations where I got to kill people, but if I can avoid it just to make my money, then I'm going to do that. I'm just going to do what I need to do to make the money, but I'm not looking to kill people. I just want to get them out of the way. So I'll knock someone out, drag them into a corner, and then do what I need to do, as opposed to some people who maybe just pure pirates. They're like, they don't care, anarchy, kill everything. That's not who I am. And I respect that there are people like that. I like that that's an option that should always be an option. But like, there's extreme consequences that I think are deserved with going to prison now for like 24 hours if you get 5-star combat. I just think that it'd be great if you could choose to do the same thing but not be lethal with those missions.
There was some people complaining on my stream that the what do you call them? The chambers in the Cutlass Blue are too small and they're unrealistic and unpractical. What's your opinion about that?
I don't have a Cutlass. Well, I do have a Cutlass Blue. They gave it to me for giveaway, but I have not had a chance to take a look at it in any detail yet. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I've cells right now don't work at all, so I think it's a moot point. They're probably definitely going to change for when we can actually put people in there. So who knows? Maybe 310. That'd be
Yeah.
cool. If
Well,
you like, I really hope, and this is a crazy hope, that for like the Hurston kill mission where we got one target to take out, that you can stun him, drag him to your Cutlass Blue or your Stalker, throw them into the prison cell, and complete the mission that way. I
yeah.
think that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would close up that whole game loop for bounty hunting, I think. Maybe.
Indeed. And you got, like more Black Hat bounty hunters, like the Boba Fett kind of guy who just doesn't care. He wants his money. He's going to kill if he needs to. If he maybe he even prefers to kill because it's troublesome to capture people. And then you've got the nicer, like the more respectable gentleman type bounty hunters that just they want to get paid, and maybe some they know that some guy maybe is down on his luck. He's just a debtor, but you still got to take him anyway, you know. So I think that's cool. There are some other cool things. They talked about. I don't know if you watched it, the last live stream. There's some things that aren't on the list. There's the IFCS flight system stuff that they finally finished. That's going to be in 310.
What's this, like
So
hover mode part 2?
yeah, kind of like hover mode part 2. Yeah, but also like ships that don't have VTOL now, their thrusters will overheat in atmosphere.
Neat.
There's also work been done, and they didn't say it'd be released for 310, but they say they're actively working on it. The new shield rework stuff.
They've been talking about that forever, though. I'll believe it when I
Yeah, they
see
have.
it.
Wait, when they see it, yeah. But it does look like the FCS stuff is in 310. There's another thing that was in 310 that they didn't have on the roadmap. I don't remember what that was. But yeah, there's some cool stuff coming. Is there anything else you saw that you're really excited about?
There really wasn't much, actually. That's kind of why I changed screens, because we had I don't know, restricted area rework. That's a believe it when I see it thing. I mean, I feel like that could get bumped. M50, I mean, now that the blue's out of the way, I feel like the you'd be able to work on the M50. And then the electric guns you were talking about.
Oh, they added the C-54 ballistic SMG back to the roadmap for 310, as well as the sledge mass driver revision, which is interesting. So they're redoing the railgun.
Redoing
That's
it.
kind of
Didn't they just add a railgun?
No, they added the Animus rocket launcher.
Rocket launcher.
Yeah, so the sledge mass driver, I believe, is the railgun. So they're reworking that, and the new model looks kind of cool. The C-54 SMG, the ballistic based SMG, we don't actually. We have the P8, which is cool. But yeah, we're getting another one from Gemini, and then the ones I'm really excited about, like I said, are the Lightning Bolt Company sniper rifle and pistol, because I guess from what I've heard that these are non-lethal. Yeah. These are meant to stun. So I think that's the first time we're getting stun mechanics. Version 2 surrender, I wonder if that has to do with body dragging. That's interesting. The M50 rework that they showed us is really cool looking. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Ship HUD rework is exciting. There's a lot of things when they add little features in here that they're not revealing. I suspect there's more to it than that, and that could be really exciting. The new targeting methodology, that could be really cool, actually, as well. Other panels are ho-hum. FPS combat stuff. I mean, that if they get FPS combat to work even better, because it works now when servers are working well.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic. I love FPS combat personally. Grimhex improvements, it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. New Babbage shop
what
editions.
The race elements are of that, actually. No idea.
Now, here's the big thing that I don't know if you noticed, but I think that viewers may be really excited to hear. Shop editions. Do you notice what picture they used?
Hold on. Let me just bring that up here. Is that in 310?
Yes.
Not in weapons. Gameplay?
So they kind of trolled us a little bit. They showed us penguins in a shop, which people were really annoyed with at Reddit, saying, why are you wasting your time? But I think it's cover for something else. And here's my reasoning. There's a shop in the center of New Babbage, where they showcase the Mobi-Glass, the newest one. Now, if you guys know that they're currently switching everything over to their building block system, and what remains to still be on Flash, that clunky old crappy system that annoys them as well as us, is our current Mobi-Glass version 1. So my thoughts are that this is going to be their way of unveiling Mobi-Glass 2 in-game through Microtech, who develops it, and it's going to be at a shop, which is featured here in the image that they're using.
I'm still looking for this image, by the way.
Go to the roadmap. It's their locations. Go to New Babbage shop editions. 15 of 25 tasks complete. I strongly suspect that this is going to be their change of Mobi-Glass over to the building block system. So we're going to get Mobi-Glass version 2.
Cool.
There's a second reason why I think this is the case, and that's because they have already talked about that they are actively working on a version of the trading app, which is only doable in the building block version of Mobi-Glass.
Toby, so they need, or Todd Pappy mentioned that. Yes.
Yeah, they need to have building block mobiGlas in order for that to work. So I think that we are getting that in 3.10, and that's going to be the big unexpected feature of that patch, which is going to be really cool. I think for most people who don't follow Star Citizen, I'd be like, "What? That's stupid." But it unlocks so much more for Star Citizen. So like trading from player to player, um, seeing a live readout of the economy for trading, so you know where to buy stuff and sell stuff. You don't have to go out to a third party software that you have to hope's been updated by the developers, and bless their souls for having to spend time to go through the game files to update that. um, like all that's going to be then in game, which is and even things that I'm not mentioning here. I'm sure I'm missing some other possibilities here with mobiGlas switch to the building block system, but it just gives them so much flexibility to add into the game new apps, new features, new connections to the quanta, that they're talking. They talked about at SitCon, which I'm sure you were just crazy over,
Oh, I was crazy
knowing
over
you.
that.
Yeah, most people were crazy over it, unexpectedly. So
Yeah, I don't do any of the combat stuff, Morph. I don't know how much you know about my stream, but all I do is trade. That's it.
yeah,
So
so
I
I
don't.
know for you, this might be the single most important update of the year if they get mobiGlas 2 in, because that means the trading app is
Yeah.
fast approaching.
Well, I've always been. That's my only complaint about this game is like I can't pay people. Like, yeah, I could send them a trade beacon, a combat beacon, but it's hit or miss sometimes. You
But
know?
not just trading, because think about this. When we have not just trading, I'm talking money. Think about all the other things that would be possible if you couple that with player to player trading and player to NPC trading. You could start buying, because if you check the prices of modules in Star Citizen, they're different prices depending on where you go. You could conceivably buy a bunch of ship components at one location and sell it at another, and you could tell where they're valued in your mobiGlas by checking the local system prices for each location, because we don't have that right now in game. You have to go through a third party app to do so. And then for trading, for trading certain stuff like Laranite and Hephaestonite and stuff like that, there will be a stock ticker that's real time hooked up in your mobiGlas, or you could visit like in the business district of Lorville, so that you can trade stuff in real time that we just don't have right now. Like that level of sophistication to the economy is, I think, is going to be really cool for at least a portion of the community.
I know it might sound really dorky, but I hope that. Well, right now there's nowhere to buy like drinks or food in Lorville, so if ever I join someone in game, I'm always like, hey, if you're microcheck, get me something to drink, because I'm always thirsty in game because I spend so much time in Lorville. And I'm like, man, I hope that there'll be a day where that's a thing. Like you can go and do grocery shopping or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. I like buy something remotely. No, absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, like all that sort of things. They'll then be much more open to some of these kind of stranger niche ideas, because it'll be so much easier for them to integrate it into our mobiGlas, into our interface. Which, let's be honest, one of the sorest parts of Star Citizen right now is its interface. There's a lot of really great features in Star Citizen, like the component system, the trading system, like that's really well thought out, and like there are hundreds and thousands of man hours, like thousands of man hours at CIG's part of putting this stuff in game, but there's no way to know that it exists for a new player, um, because there's just nothing to tell you that it exists. For a new player experience, Star Citizen kind of sucks because it seems so two-dimensional to somebody just walking in. Like you kind of get an idea there's some depth, but you just don't know. Like there are people that I talked to who are new to Star Citizen who had no idea that you could upgrade your starter ship to be really good. They thought that you get a ship, that's it, that's what it is. There's no further complexity to it, because there's nothing to tell them that they could do that.
That's true.
There's no app. Yeah, so it's a great frustration to me that they spend so much time on this amazing stuff, but there's no way for people to know that it exists unless I do a YouTube video on it. So great for me, great for business, but not so good for the new player experience who doesn't find my YouTube channel or
That's
yours.
that's the thing though. It's like the game is so big, it's only going to get bigger. Like if anything, they're going to rely on us more and more to communicate. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that's a bad thing either.
indeed. Oh, iCache. It's not on the roadmap, but I know that they said they're working on it in the background, and they've got some working early iteration of it. So could we see an updated version of iCache, or at least in some part, in 3.10? I suspect so. I
I
suspect that might be one of those things that they don't talk about, but that gets added into that patch anyway.
fingers crossed. Man,
Fingers crossed.
the network seems so dicey, especially after today, right now. Ugh, I don't
I
know.
can't even. I'm still in Star Citizen. I've been hoping to kind of fly up and see the Javelin, but I still can't get into my fleet manager.
Yeah. So I don't know about network improvements. Well, tell me more if like what do you have planned? What's the next 6 months look like for you? What are you doing anything big or special or anything changing for your channel or anything like that? Is Armco doing anything crazy?
Yes. So on Monday we just started something every Monday called Shadow Squadron. We take a portion of our community who's really dedicated to working together in a sort of milsim type environment. Still fun, but milsim type stuff. And we do a stream to feature their hard work of working together. So we do some flying together. We do maybe some ground combat missions, some air combat missions, like really cool coordinated flying and stuff like that. And we're going to be doing a Memorial Day, well, not just for Memorial Day, but for the entire Invictus event, which is meant to honor those who serve in the fictional universe of Star Citizen. We'll be serving our real veterans in the United States. We'll be honoring them by doing a charity next week, all next week,
Cool.
starting Monday. Starting with Shadow Squadron, we'll be inviting some veterans, U.S. Armed Force veterans, to join us, Shadow Squadron, live on stream and play with us. And then we'll be doing a goal for the end of the week. And it's kind of up in the air what the reward will be. I think I'm going to do any donation gets you a ticket to win some ship. It'll probably be a Cutlass Blue, but I might add another ship in there to sweeten the deal to try to encourage some more donations. But we're going to try to hit $1,000 towards the cause. They do some really cool stuff like getting veterans food who unfortunately can't afford it right now during this hard time for them. So they're sending food to veterans every single day with the money, and 97.4% of, I guess, goes towards the cause. Of the rest going towards administrative costs. They have no, they make no money. They have no salaries. It's purely all nonprofit charity. So I'm really excited to do something for our veterans, to give something back to my country, to my home. And I hope it turns out really well. So if you are watching this and you're interested in supporting the troops, come swing by, enjoy the event, enjoy some cool flying from some fake veterans and some real veterans, like the guys who fly in game. Obviously, it's Star Citizen UE, RP type stuff. But then we'll have some real vets in there as well who've got real flight hours in aircraft and real ground pounding experience, which will be great to have them along and teach us the real ropes. So
That's cool. Is that going to be on your Twitch channel?
it's going to be on my Twitch. I'm also going to be posting a video featuring Shadow Squadron, which I'll also put a little bit of a excerpt in there explaining the charity and asking people if they can find any spare change, if they'd like to throw it towards their direction and to meet their goal. I think that'd be great. So
That's cool. Is it just going to be you streaming that, or do you have other people lined up as well?
I don't have any other names in the community that are going to be doing it with me right now. It's just myself. I don't know. My friends don't. They're all really busy, so if they don't have time, I won't hold it against them. But yeah, for right now, it's just myself. It's just myself.
Cool. That's a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever done a charity, so I'm really excited to do something good.
You're gonna blow it out of the water, man. Like if you get how many when you thank you for rating me, by the way. I
No problem, man.
never said thank you, but like it really makes my day when I get a lot of people. It's just it just charges me up when I get a lot of people in chat. So thanks so much. You rock that. The fact that it's like 7 or 8 in the morning and you have 200 plus viewers, man, that's exceptional. So I can't imagine how many you're gonna get for the charity because those are you going to be front page Twitch? Do you know?
I'm not a partner and I'm not doing it through Twitch, so I doubt it. I'll probably only be one of the top streamers in Star Citizen at the time. So we'll see what happens. I might talk to. I think I am going to take some time to go talk to CIG a bit about this and see if they want to help promote the stream a bit. to try to help drive some more income. But it's a CIG is a game company. They're not really they're in several different countries. I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be too disappointed either if they declined. It's a touchy. It's a different thing to get involved in a charity. They have to make sure that a charity is being done right and what have you. And I'd understand. So we'll see how things go. They're a smaller charity. They started as a gaming community for veterans that helps veterans get back on their feet after they're done serving. Either they've been discharged through like honorably discharged, or maybe they were discharged because of injury, which is also one of the more tragic realities of our vets. And that community started off just helping them by providing them a community of people who understand their situation and can help them through like typical things vets go through, applying to the VA and getting help for basic needs, like when you're in a wheelchair, like what do you do, who do you call, how do you get a ramp installed. Like these are all really difficult questions that people don't really have to think about when they're that young, and they come back without a leg or arm, and it's really hard for these guys. So I think what they're doing, what they did for their community, is really cool, and I just hope that I can give back just a bit and help them do what they do.
And I'll have to get a link off of you so I can post the link in the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll definitely share. I was talking to the guys, and they're so passionate, man. One the guy who started it started tearing up a bit, describing what he does, and I have to admit that got a little choked up as well, thinking about how they help people. So it's really cool. Definitely, I'll pass you a link, and maybe if you guys might come over and say hi and donate to the cause.
I never thought that video games could be a benefit for veterans before. I could be just a naive Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Dad Lando really opened my eyes to the fact that video games are therapeutic to address veterans with PTSD. So it's like, that's
Yeah,
cool. That's a good
it
thing.
is. Yeah. Yeah, it's a medium for connection, to meet people who've gone through the same thing. It feels comforting to know somebody out there understands what you've gone through, somebody who's lost somebody close to them in combat. And I personally haven't. I'm not a veteran, but I can understand that is a very difficult thing to go through, and that no it takes a person who's gone through that to understand a person who's gone through that. And so there are people who have gone through the grieving already, and have been able to make it through, and others who haven't, and those people who made it through can help those who haven't yet, and prevent them from taking their own lives, which is unfortunately a reality of veterans across the world. There's a very high suicide rate for returning veterans. So if anything to help reduce that and get those people back into some semblance of real life is fantastic.
I appreciate being a part of the Star Citizen community because I've talked with some of these veterans. I've played with some of them before, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about war or what they've gone through, but they really appreciate what Star Citizen has to offer. So that's good.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So guys here in chat, guys here in YouTube, if you guys want to give back, please head to any charity. But if you want to head to mine, definitely do. Would love to have your. They would love to have your support. It's not. I'm not taking any money, and they're not paying me at all to do this. I just said I want to do it. It sounds awesome. Fits perfect with Invictus Week. So
that's true too. Yep.
yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on, at least in the immediate future. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue doing my thing, expanding the channel. Hopefully, I'll grow more. I hope I can hit 200K at some point, and then secretly, I kind of hope I'll pass a certain somebody on YouTube.
Yeah.
Say it. I love him. I met him in person, but we are kind of competitors now. So.
Well, who is that? The really boring guy?
Oh, and the gamer guy. Yeah, the
The
gamer guy. Who sometimes is bored when he plays. So. He's a cool guy. I met him at SitCon. We had a sit down, did a video on my channel. If you guys want to check that out, it's there as well. It was really cool to meet him and a bunch of you guys, and you as well. Met you in person for a short period, very, very short period of time, sadly. Yeah.
No, I met Board too, and I loved. Oh man, he was very chill, but he was like tired. He was so done. Amazing. But,
yeah, he did a lot of organization for the event to get everybody together. So he, like I was, we were just running around nonstop from start to finish. Had very little time to breathe and just enjoy Sometimes think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I just come as a fan as opposed to a content creator.
Yeah, I
But
know,
we both
right?
went as content creators to our own detriment.
Yeah. Are you disappointed at all at the CitizenCon not happening this year?
No, actually, I'm excited that it's not happening. The reason why I'm excited it's not happening is because I think it gives them a chance to breathe. It's
I
always been
agree. Yes.
run at the end of a year, and they've been desperately needing some time to catch up with Squadron 42 to get that out.
Yeah.
They're always pushing it back, always running into issues, and that happens in development. I understand that. I'm very sympathetic and empathetic to their problems, and so I hope that they use this time to focus on getting Squadron 42 out the door, because in my mind, it's the biggest single blocker to Star Citizen's success right now. Um, there's so much stuff locked up in Squadron 42 that we don't have, like the Javelin and Idris, for example, which if you have been listening to the Evocati leaks, they have interiors, guys. They're done. They're
Really?
just not giving it to them.
Ah!
Yeah, because they're holding them back for Squadron 42. Someone glitched into a Javelin. I guess it's flyable. There's an
What?
interior. Yes, it's
What?
flyable. You can fly the Javelin. If you can glitch into the Jav, you can fly it.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so
let's
you
go.
better bet people are going to try to do that
Good.
in this next week. Nobody has successfully done it in the PU yet, but you better believe someone's going to try.
Less than 24 hours, someone's going to have that thing hacked.
Yeah, I'm positive. They who knows, from the Evocati, they may have found some way to prevent that from happening. Maybe they'll just kill you immediately if you get inside the ship, but that seems like extra programming, so they might not have.
That's true.
I know that people were already trying to blow up the Javelin on the PU, so that'll be interesting to see the first person to blow it up. Apparently, the servers haven't been acting well, so it's not reacting, I guess, like it should. Apparently, it was reacting to some streamers, and it's got size 10 turrets on the top of it. So one of those turrets hits one ship, they poof instantly. It'll be really cool to see that happen.
Yeah, next week's gonna be very interesting. What's your opinion about Anniversary Sale, the sequel?
You mean today?
Yeah.
I think it's the event we didn't get when we wanted it. The event this year was horrible. I was so disappointed by it. We got no concept ships like previous years. The skin, I know the guy who designed the color scheme, bless his heart. I think he did a great job designing the venue. He did all that. I met him at SitCon, but I did not like the color scheme on ships. I think it looks horrible. The pink and the white with pink pinstripes. I am not a fan. So I was really disappointed by the event, by what was offered, by what you could see. I thought it was just a shell of what it could have been. It'd been cool to see, like, just give us the shell of the Carrack, give us the shell of the Kraken again. He did it for us in Hurston the last year. Give us the shell of the Idris, do something cool. So for me, this Invictus event is the event we should have gotten for SitCon, but understandably, it takes a lot of prep, and SitCon is a huge amount of effort. So
That's true. Yeah.
Like I said, you know what? Whatever. As long as I get more time in development, ultimately, guys, we just want a cool game. As long as they get stuff done, I'm sated. Yeah, it's nice to have cool events like Invictus, but I'd rather have them working on the game.
So Bendy says that it was Heavy Bob that was responsible for this Javelin nonsense. I'm 0% surprised.
Yeah, Heavy Bob is notorious in the Star Citizen community, for those guys who don't know.
I'm his biggest fan. I'll never forget, I played with him. My first time playing with him, we broke into a Carrack, and he was just screaming down the hallways. And the poor guy whose Carrack it was had no idea what was happening. It was just this madman running in the hallways just screaming. I wish I took
Bob. Oh, God.
Yeah. I wish I took a clip of it.
I've had him show up a few times on stream as well. It's always been entertaining.
That's right, to say the least.
He as well as some other people who show up regularly in my streams. It's been pretty funny. Now Xylo has been showing up more recently as well, regularly.
That's
doing funny things. Like he showed up driving a gray cat in the mines first time I tried out prison. That was really funny.
How did he get a gray cat there? Or
they've got special dev powers, man. They can just spawn ships wherever they want.
But he just drives
not confirmed.
He drives
They're
around the
very
sorry, go ahead.
no, they're very coy about telling about what their powers are because they don't want people to know exactly what they can do. But I mean, that's what they can do.
They have secret golf cart powers. They can show up anywhere in the verse in a golf cart instantaneously.
It's a power that we've always wanted, all of us. We
It's true.
dream when we're having, dreams of being superpowers, being able to spawn in a small golf cart and drive around in interior spaces. Yeah, he posted the clip on Twitter. It was hilarious. Oh, it was good. It was really good.
Well, I think we should probably wrap it up there. 2 hours and 12 minutes. So is there any...
Oh yeah, have we been going for that long?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, it's almost 2. Oh my God, it's almost 2 p.m. I have to go have lunch.
Okay. Don't forget to have lunch. Is there any icing on the cake that you want to throw? Anything that I might have missed you wanted to mention?
No, but I'm sorry we didn't talk enough about you. I actually wanted to talk more about you and ask a bit more about yourself. I know if you've watched your stream before, I know you do a lot of trading and stuff. But I also want to comment that I love that you like went through the effort of creating an in lore outfit that you wear on stream and that you wore during the event. I thought that was really cool. So I just want to compliment you on that.
Thank you.
I kind of want to do something like that myself. I'm actually cool thing. Here talking about myself again.
Yeah.
But I actually I'm working with a local company here to produce a bunch of pins.
Nice.
That I designed for my org, like a captain's pin and a pilot's pin that I'm going to give to subs if they reach a certain sub level. Try to bring a little bit of like the lore into reality. And now I kind of want to do what you did, but with my own, like maybe like a Battlestar-esque Galactica type uniform with the pins on it or something. Wear that on stream. I think that'd be so cool.
Oh yeah, that's great. Oh, that was one of my questions was what's your favorite sci-fi franchise?
Oh man, I've got so many favorites. I've got no single one that I love more than another. Recently I've been rewatching some of Battlestar Galactica just because the Battlestar Galactica is a legend for the fight scene. Like everything about Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Start to finish.
Yep.
Starts with a bang, ends with a bang.
100%.
One of the best series.
Last episode is like the best in any show I've ever seen. Still cry, man.
Freaking! I just watched the last clip, of saying goodbye to Adama and President Roslin as they fly away in a Raptor.
Yeah.
And yeah, you tear up. Yeah, you it's emotional, man. Such a well done series, and I can't believe they're doing a reboot of it. I hope to God they do something different.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they're and some of the actors were talking about how they're really kind of upset that they're doing that because it was so recent and so well done. It's like trying to redo the Mona Lisa.
Yes,
you can't do it, man. It's good. There's a reason why nobody's redone the Mona Lisa to try to say.
It's still good. Like you can watch it today and it holds up. You don't say this is 20 years old. You're like, holy this is awesome. Like best sci-fi out there. Especially
because you can buy it on Blu-ray 4K now and it looks super sharp. Like holy crap, the amount of detail they put into the sets. Like a lot of it was practical for the ships and for the interiors. The amount of effort and the like one of the most famous speeches, the "So Say We All" speech by Adama. That was done off the cuff by the actor who put so much of himself and his own charisma into the character that you believed it 100%. These were real people on a real ship that you cared about. You can't replicate that. And I think it's going to fall flat on its face if they try.
Yeah.
People are going to hate it. I would rather, we're getting way off track here, but I would rather them do a continuation of it in modern day where maybe the Galactica didn't fly into the sun and it's been orbiting Mercury and we've not actually seen it ever before, and that somebody discovered it in our modern day, and it set off something with the Cylons that still exist there out in the universe and are actually still on Earth as well, as we saw in the last episode 150,000 years later. So what does that mean? How could that be interesting? I mean, I think it could be really cool. A continuation of the cycle and trying to stop the cycle. Maybe the theme of the show would be, how do we stop the cycle? Because this has happened before and it's supposed to happen again. How can we stop it from happening and have peace between artificial intelligence and humans? I think that'd be a really fascinating thing to go forward with rather than just rebooting it and trying to do the same thing over again.
Yes, you're right.
But yeah, other than that, all the Stargate series, love them, including the last one, which killed the series. I still like that. I don't. I know people didn't like that it went for the darker look. I think it was good. I liked it a lot. And then I also really love Star Trek. You know, classic. I know it's so cliche. Star Wars, except for the newer movies, I thought that they really missed the point. But the Mandalorian is now my favorite show, period, on TV currently, and I am so excited for Steve Filoni and his work and his take on Star Wars. He worked under George Lucas and shadowed him for years. He was basically taught by him, and he understands Star Wars. He gets it, and
Mm-hmm.
you listen to any talks that he's had about it, and he'll just blow your mind. Like he just had this talk about the meaning of the prequels, and actually, if you guys didn't hear this, you see this. You should definitely watch it. He talked about how there's this fight scene in Episode 1 of the prequels that has a track that's really famous. It's called The Duel of Fates, and I'm sure you've heard the name of that track.
Yep.
It's a really famous track. Okay, that track actually is referring to the Duel of Fates between Darth Maul and what was the master? Crap, it escapes me now. Played
Sidious?
by Liam Neeson.
Oh,
No, Liam
Qui-Gon.
Neeson. Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yep.
It was actually referring to the fight between Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul because they represented two different paths the universe could take. If Qui-Gon Jinn survived, he would have taught Anakin as a son. And if you remember what Obi-Wan said, "You were a brother to me."
Mm.
Obi-Wan was never a father figure to Anakin, and that was the problem. He was a brother. He was one to be competed with, whereas Qui-Gon was a father that Anakin never had. He had a mother, but he never had a father. So even when his mother died, the father figure who took him out of that hellhole, out of slavery, who saw something in that nobody else did. Remember that Obi-Wan said that, "Why are you wasting time on another worthless life form?" He was referring to Anakin because it was just, somebody who had a problem. And all the other Jedi saw something dark in Anakin, but Qui-Gon saw something good because he was more of a gray Jedi. He saw a balance. He was more of what the end of the latest movies were trying to be, is finding a balance between the good and the dark, the light and the darkness. Like a gray Jedi, which is the place where Jedi should have gone. He was that, but he died to Maul. And so the universe shifted in the Duel of the Fates from what could have been the savior of the Force to somebody who brought down the galaxy and Darth Vader. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, I never would have thought about that before.
But that's coming from somebody who worked with George Lucas, who knows what George Lucas thought in the movies, and so this is coming from George Lucas through the mouth of Filoni, and he's the guy who did The Mandalorian and the new Clone Wars series. So if he takes over Star Wars, man, I'm super excited for Star Wars.
Interesting. What do we have to look forward to in Star Wars? Is there actually a Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming up or something like that?
Yeah, but they've pushed it back since not only since the coronavirus, but since the backlash of Han Solo. And
I love Solo, man.
Movies.
That was like one of my favorite.
Yeah, but it was more of like a theme park, really.
Yeah,
a theme park ride. They were. I think the problem with all the Disney shows, other than what Filoni's doing with Mandalorian, have been too afraid to do anything that's counter to canon. To make any new steps, like they're retreading old paths, too afraid to step on any toes and to make any definitive moves that would define any future, because they want to leave it open to doing anything they want. Anything like that's why they got rid of canon, because they were afraid that it was going to restrict their path forward. But Filoni's not afraid of that, and he's just doing what he wants, and that's what's making it so good. That's why I don't think Solo did as well, is because they were too afraid to do something new, to tell us something that we never knew about Solo. It was really just revisiting a lot of the key points that we knew about Solo already, like what was the what run? Crap, it's escaping me now. I know so much about Star Wars, but then I forget key things. The Kessel Run. How do you do the Kessel run in parsecs, which are not units of time but units of distance?
Yeah.
Like they answered that question really well in Solo, which is great. I'm glad that they answered that question. That's a really clever way to answer the question. But where was the interesting thing that we never knew about Solo before? Okay, sure, he served in the Empire a little bit, We didn't really know about that before, but I would have liked to explore more of that. I'd like to explore more of the struggle of the darkness within him, and something like that. Maybe some allusions to Ben Solo, because there was elements of the
Ooh.
new movies that I think were good ideas, but they were just executed so poorly because we got three different directors to three movies.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, so that's my take on. Do you have any favorites? Any specific science fiction shows that you really like?
Pretty much the same. Battlestar Galactica. I worship Battlestar Galactica. I don't know. Honestly, I'm more of like a real space kind of guy too. Like I follow the
Mhm.
Apollo program very closely and all the SpaceX stuff. You probably know more about science fiction than I do. Stargate for me is like Kurt Russell, 1990s. You know what I mean?
No, that was a good movie, but I was talking more about the TV show. Have you watched
Yeah.
the TV show? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really follow that stuff too much, but no, that's
Yeah,
cool.
no,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say no. I'm really into the real space as well. Like whenever there's some sort of discovery, I'm on top of it right away. I want to know more about it. Like I'm really interested in them talking about doing trips to Venus, using like blimps, stuff that float above the atmosphere in a more habitable area. Them talking about having man visit to Venus, which is really fascinating. There's actually something at NASA where they're figuring out, very small team, how they might do that. The stuff to Mars is really cool. Anything to do that with the ISS is really cool. I really like what they're doing with SpaceX, and the private industry working towards space exploration is an interesting idea. I hope it doesn't become like a dystopian Eve Online type future though. That sucks. I don't want a real ArcCorp or real Hurston in the future. It doesn't sound quite so good as it might just in a video game.
I don't think it's avoidable. Like I think Amazon is
I
going to
think
be
it's
our corp.
reality. Yeah,
I think
I think it's. I think
like,
this is Star Citizen has a very realistic look at a future
yeah,
of humanity in space. Yeah, I agree.
not a
And
bad
one
thing
can
either. I mean, we still like spaceships.
We do, but you look at Hurston and you say, yeah, I can kind of see that, indentured servitude, wage slaves. We kind of have that to some extent today. Like it's basically a city of debtors who are trapped on Hurston, can't leave because they owe something to the company, and they always will owe something to the company, and that's just written into the contract. And because they didn't read the fine print, they're trapped there, and that's the lore of Hurston. They're not good people. They just take advantage of people and basically have slave labor. So yeah, I mean, I see that in our future,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
me too. Like we've been slavers for thousands of years. To think that we're going to stop being slavers in another 1,000 years.
Yeah, we're just gonna find cleverer and cleverer ways to cover it up.
Anyways, let's wrap it up there. And
Hmm.
thank you so much for participating on this chat today. I hope to have you back again too in the future someday soon, TM. Um,
Mm.
and thanks everybody watching. Check us out next week as well, 8 p.m. Pacific. Probably gonna have Spazzy McGee or TV Liquid on. Haven't determined yet, but
Oh,
thanks
cool, cool.
thanks again for your time as well, Morphologist.
Hey, and
Morphologist.
I've been pronouncing your name wrong. I think I've been pronouncing it Segellion, but it's Segellion.
It doesn't matter. You can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for lunch.
All right. All right. It was absolutely my pleasure as well to join you. I really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and time went by way faster than I expected. It's now
That's good.
2 p.m. and I need to go have lunch. So thank you again so much. And yeah, we should do this again sometime. And if you want to just top in a game of Star Citizen at any time, feel free to swing by.
That sounds cool. Okay. Thanks again. And thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.